Chapter 389. Having not hugged anyone for a long time, Zhongyi's body was obviously a little stiff, but Xiangyi had a sense of propriety and ended the hug in a few seconds. She was polite and warm. But a tear fell from the corner of Zhongyi's eye. There were no cameramen in the living room, only a few fixed cameras. In the director's room. Seeing this scene, Li Jianyu, a grown man, felt a lump in his throat. Although there weren't many pop-up comments in the live stream, it was very heartwarming. Xiangyi is really gentle. Sister, don't cry, I can't help it when you cry. Sister Yi's words are so heartbreaking. She must be a girl who grew up being doted on. That's why she can say that every child is born into this world for the sake of happiness. Zhongyi's tears fell silently for a while. She looked beautiful and breathtaking. Xiangyi didn't say anything to comfort her and simply poured some fruit wine into her glass. A moment later, Zhongyi got a grip on her emotions. I envy you very much. She expressed her feelings straightforwardly. You have a family who dotes on you, but I don't. During the most difficult period, no one comforted me when I called home. All they did was ask for living expenses. At that time, the most extravagant thing I ever did was to go to the supermarket at night to buy fruits that were on sale for $1 a bag. I didn't even have time to wash them and finish them on the way back. Zhongyi smiled and continued, It's funny, isn't it? But I still remember the taste of those fruits. After going through so much hardship, even a piece of candy could be extremely sweet. That was why she was so resolute when she met Zhangjiang's father. You're the first person to say those words to me. Zhongyi smiled brightly as if no amount of setbacks could hide her beauty. Can I call you Sister Yi? Xiangyi was a little dizzy from drinking. Resting her chin in her hand, she nodded and said, Sure. Zhongyi put an arm around her shoulder and said proudly, Sister Yi, I'll take care of you from now on. There were suddenly more comments in the live stream. I know Zhongyi is from a cult, I'll just stand there for a second. Just 1 second. Come to think of it, Zhongyi's life really isn't easy. Not everyone has the courage to be a single mother. Sister Yi looks so soft when she's drunk. Shui, stop reading. Would it work or not? If not, I'll do it. The live broadcast came to an abrupt end. As Ruan Qing expected, Xiangyi and Zhongyi's drinking party didn't fail. Instead, it moved countless people. This was something that the production team of Eating Well for 3 Meals could not understand. Why didn't the netizens believe them when they told Jiang Yun to show her true feelings? Zhongyi had only cried a little and Xiangyi had only hugged her. How could the two of them become a couple? The production team of Eating Well for 3 Meals was extremely depressed. In the almost suffocating atmosphere, someone came up with a stupid idea and suggested, I think the success of 2 Under One Roof must be because of the good script. Why don't we poach their planner and scriptwriter? Unexpectedly, this suggestion received widespread approval. Since they couldn't fight head-on, they could use underhanded tactics. In the end, the 2 girls had too much to drink. Shui asked Ruan Qing to send Zhongyi back to her room and help take care of Zhangjiang while she carried Xiangyi in her arms. Ruan Qing looked at her with a subtle gaze and said, Li Jianyu said that you're worse than little Shiji. I thought it was a joke, but I didn't expect it to be true. Shui raised his eyebrows, a joyful smile in his dark eyes. Thank you, you flatter me. Chapter 390. Ruan Qing was speechless for a while before teasing, Aren't you afraid that Sister Yi's brother will come back? Even she was a little intimidated by Songchen's domineering aura. Shui smirked and said in a mysterious tone, Him? He should be busy. Ruan Qing was dumbfounded. In a bar in Nanqing. Although Xinyu made a fool of himself in the livestream of 2 Under One Roof, and was ridiculed by the netizens, he had achieved his goal. He was still famous after all. Now that he had gained popularity, a group of internet celebrities in the company were surrounding him and sucking up to him, feeding him fruits and toasting him. Xinyu was thick-skinned in the first place. In the blink of an eye, he forgot about the embarrassing scene just now and began to brag. Xiangyi, she looks just like that in real life. She's petty and unpresentable. Women have to behave like women. Look at her, which part of her looks like a woman? He's just a shrew. If you ask me, I should have called the police and locked her up when she hit me. I should have taught her a lesson. He belittled Xiangyi to the point that she was nothing. His throat was dry, but he found that the little internet celebrities around him all had ugly expressions on their faces. Who are you guys putting on such a long face for? Let's get high. In the next second, a cold young man's voice sounded behind him. My sister is a shrew? Immediately after, a devilish male voice spoke in a slightly faster pace. I dare you to say that again. Xianyu felt a chill down his spine and his heart trembled. However, he heard two more voices one after another. The gentle voice asked, Do you think our tutu is a pushover? The cold and aloof voice asked, How do you want to die? Xianyu turned his neck stiffly and saw a row of tall and slender figures behind him. His vision immediately turned dark. Hello, brothers. Xianyu smiled and said obsequiously, I'm Xianyu. Xianxia likes me a lot. Have you forgotten? She was still crying and rolling on the ground, saying that she wants to marry me. He was eager to use Xianxia as a rescue, but little did he know that he ended up angering Xianxia's brothers. Xianxia grabbed his collar and pulled him up. You're not fit to mention her name. Back then, Xianyu harbored evil intentions towards his sister at the Xiang family's old residence. If they hadn't been at home that day, who knew what would have happened? At the thought of it, Xiang uses brothers and he was about to punch him. However, Xiangqi stopped him. Xiangyu, let go. Xiangli adjusted his glasses and calmly said, Old four, you're about to compete. Don't cause trouble. Xiangchen was much more direct. Go away. You're too weak. The despised Xiangyu, Xiangyi, is right? I. Hee, now you know you're wrong. Xiangqi grinned, his phoenix eyes filled with mischief. But we're not here to hear you apologize, Xianyu said shakily. I have money. Can I compensate you with money? Xiangqi interrupted. We're here to beat you up. Tell me, what order do you want? 1234 or 4321? Or do you want a luxurious one-on-one beating package? The little internet celebrities were scared out of their wits and had long run away. As for the bar, it had already been cleared. Xianyu wanted to cry but had no tears. Who would have thought that this family would be so protective? This time I've offended someone I shouldn't have. I'm really done for. Chapter 391. Half an hour later. On Weibo, the netizens who were surfing saw a new post. It was a video posted by Xianyu. Everyone was already a little tired of his aesthetics, but out of habit they still clicked on the video. Xianyu's tone was sincere and sincere. Here I would like to apologize to Miss Xiangyi. Everything that happened today was made up by me for the sake of gaining popularity. Huh? This ugly man actually apologized. In the complete video, Xianyu not only apologized, but also dragged the gossip media into it, claiming that they were the ones who induced him to smear Xiangyi's reputation in exchange for traffic. In an instant, the netizens' anger rose to the peak. The gossip media soon tasted the backlash of the netizens. You treat us like fools, I'll treat you like an orphan. The Weibo account of the gossip media was bombarded with so much criticism that it turned off the comments section and received more than 100,000 insults in private messages. In the end, they had no choice but to expose the informant. Qin Wanyan thought that she had done it flawlessly. She used a SMUF account and even got someone to change the IP address. However, her SMUF account shared a few daily updates and the sharp-eyed netizens managed to figure out that it was her SMUF account from the reflection of a bracelet and half of her face in the sunglasses in a photo. The overwhelming news flooded her Weibo account. Qin Wanyan was extremely anxious and called her manager, who comforted her impatiently and hung up without saying anything about public relations. When she called again for the second time, it was obvious that no one answered. Qin Wanyan was terrified to the extreme and she didn't dare to look at her cell phone at all. Every time she saw those vicious comments, her body would tremble. She would never have thought that those people who were scolding Xiangyi would come to scold her. Not long after, Tomato Entertainment released an announcement. Although Xiangyi was the boss in name, she didn't have much energy to manage it for the time being. Her uncle, Xiang Feng, had hired a professional manager for her and he was personally in charge. Seeing that his artiste was exposed to such a scandal, he immediately terminated the contract with Qin Wanyan. In addition to having to face a huge amount of compensation, Qin Wanyan's reputation in the industry was also ruined and no major company would be willing to sign her. Qin Wanyan, who was at her wit's end, suddenly thought of someone. Maybe he can help me. Bar. Xianxia kicked Xianyu away with his long legs and adjusted his tie. His black suit outlined the perfect contours of his body and he exuded a strong sense of oppression that was hard to ignore. Xiangli looked gentle, but he was even more ruthless than Xianxia. It was not difficult for a genius to destroy a company. Xiangyu was worried. I feel like I'm just a bystander. Xiangqi comforted him. You should be content. Little uncle doesn't even deserve to be here. Big brother thinks he's clumsy and a burden. Xiangyu. Thank you for being comforted. He put on the hood of his hoodie. His jawline was smooth and handsome. Suddenly he thought of something. Will my sister cry alone in bed? Imagining that scene, the Siscon men felt as if their hearts had been cut by a knife. Xiangqi said with heartache, let's go back and comfort our sister. Even if she wants to cry, she should cry on my shoulder. Xiangli chuckled. Are you worthy? Xiangchen's brows were tightly knitted as he strode forward. Cheating. Big brother, you're cheating. Xiangqi yelled angrily. The three of them hurriedly caught up with Xiangyu. Little did they know that at this moment in the manor. Chapter 392. Unbeknownst to them at this time in the manor, the little rabbit had just been carried into the bedroom. Xiangyi's alcohol tolerance was excellent, and she didn't make a fuss when drunk. Shui put her on the bed, and the little girl obediently rolled up the quilt and covered herself tightly. Shui couldn't help but laugh and raised his hand to pinch her little face. You're really worrisome. Meow meow meow. Xiao Naofu woke up from its sleep and saw Shui carrying the stupid woman back to the room. It hurriedly ran in, stopped at Shui's feet and roared fiercely at him. Shui lowered his eyes and indifferently said, Go back to your cat's nest and sleep. Xiao Naofu, meow. Meow meow. Don't think this hoo-hoo doesn't understand. You just want to trick me away and then do this to the stupid woman. It clung to the edge of the bed and with great difficulty, it jumped up and sat on Xiangyi's pillow with a posture that said, This hoo-hoo is not leaving today. Xiangyi was awakened by the noise and opened her eyes in a daze. The figure of the little cat appeared in her vision, and she habitually hugged it in her arms. All of you, Xiao Naofu. Oh, it raised its chin provocatively at Shui. See that? This hoo-hoo is the rightful wife. This is the hoo-hoo that the stupid woman loves the most. Xiao Naofu's tail swayed gently, curling around her fingers, and rubbing its head against Xiangyi's soft skin under her collarbone. It coquettishly said, Meow meow. Xiangyi closed her eyes again and gently coaxed, All of you be good. Shui's long and narrow eyes narrowed dangerously and he sneered. Want to be sterilized? Xiao Naofu trembled in fear. However, although its IQ was only equivalent to a child of a few years old, children had a natural instinct to know who would protect them and who they could be pampered in front of. The white, soft and cute kitten stuck out its little butt awkwardly and squeezed into Xiangyi's shirt through her collar. Only half of its little head was exposed and it stuck its tongue out at Shui. Lu dogman, this hoo-hoo is not afraid of you. Shui's temples twitched violently. The young lady was drunk, so of course he couldn't take advantage of her. Therefore he really couldn't do anything about Xiao Naofu now. However, the man was calm and composed as he smiled faintly. Xiao Naofu, I've recently discovered that Sister Yi's casserole is especially good. The stewed meat is especially mushy. That black-bellied smile, that dark temperament, he was definitely a villain. Xiao Naofu? You're not going to do anything when it comes to men and women, are you? However, Xiangyi felt something furry and warm pressing against her body. It was a little itchy and a little heavy. The young lady murmured and wanted to move Xiao Naofu away, but she was blocked by her clothes. She subconsciously pulled at her clothes. Shui's breathing became slightly erratic as he pressed down on her hand. In a daze, Xiangyi felt the hot temperature on the back of her hand. Her brain lost control of its logic and her body reacted quickly. She grabbed Shui's wrist and pulled and pressed. In the blink of an eye, she had Shui pressed against her side, imprisoning and subduing her. In fact, Shui didn't resist at all. Otherwise, the drunk Xiangyi wouldn't have succeeded so easily. Xiangyi struggled to blur her eyes as if trying to identify Shui. A certain actor smiled at the kitten. This is called acting, understand? Xiao Naofu, woof woof woof. UF** King Dog Man. Shui didn't get to gloat for more than 3 seconds before someone knocked on the bedroom door. Sister, are you asleep? Chapter 393. In an instant, Shui's expression froze slightly. Even Xiao Naofu was so scared that its tail curled up. The man and cat looked at each other and surprisingly reached an agreement. They didn't make a sound. Fortunately, the brothers outside the door were very gentlemanly in front of their sister and wouldn't barge into her room without permission. She should be asleep, right? Xianxia said uncertainly. Xiangyu's nose twitched and he sniffed. Seems like she made supper. Xianxia was overjoyed. I'll go to the kitchen and take a look. Xiangyu was afraid that he would steal food, so he followed closely behind him. The two of them went out of the kitchen and found the food in the fridge. Xianxia lowered his voice. Fourth brother, don't make a sound. Let's split the spoils. Xiangyu put one hand in his pocket and pressed down the hood of his hoodie with the other. He said a few words indifferently. Big brother is outside. Xianxia was instantly terrified. If it was only the black-bellied old fox second brother outside, he would still dare to repeatedly jump on the edge of death. However, Xiangyu was here. Xiangyu said righteously, am I the kind of person who would secretly eat behind my brother's back? What's the most important thing when a family is together? Sharing. Xiangyu clicked his tongue. He wouldn't believe his nonsense. Since they were already here, let's eat. The four brothers sat down around the remaining small plate of food. Xiangli had already familiarly gone to the wine cellar to get wine. Xiangyu was about to compete and consciously didn't touch the wine. Xianxia said arrogantly, fourth brother, pour wine for your brothers. Xiangyu glanced at him. Xianxia said, what are you staring at? Keep staring and I'll beat you up. You're the youngest, so of course you should pour it. Xiangyu said in a disdainful tone, why didn't you say that when little sister was here? He had never seen Xianxia order Xiangyi around and only knew how to put on airs as third brother in front of him. Xianxia said righteously, how can you compare to little sister? Xiangyu. Fine, there's nothing wrong with that. He speechlessly poured wine for his brothers. In the bedroom, Xiangyi stared at Shui for a long time. He seemed to recognize him. She buried her head in his chest and sniffed his shirt. Shui's body tensed up and his eyes darkened. After confirming that it was the familiar smell of laundry detergent, Xiangyi felt relieved and fell asleep. Did this mean that he wasn't treating him as an outsider? This realization made Shui feel both amused and helpless. He broke free from Xiangyi's shackles and pinched her little cheeks. Xiao Naofu meowed in protest. Be a man. Shui sneered. If I didn't want to be a human, you would have been stewed into a kitten. She shrank her little head into Xiangyi's arms vigilantly, which made Shui's thin eyelids twitch violently. He really deserved a beating. After a few minutes, when the heat in his heart had dissipated, he gently tucked Xiangyi in and went back to his room along the balcony. In the living room, Xianxia drank 2 glasses of wine, but his brows were still furrowed. He put down the wine glass and walked towards Shui's room. He knocked on the door with a blank expression. A moment later, the door was pulled open. Shui was only wearing a pair of dark blue home pants. He was wiping himself with a towel. You're back. What's the matter? Xianxia walked past him and looked into the room with a sharp gaze. The large bed in the room was clean and even the thin blanket was neatly folded. Xianxia felt relieved and said with a straight face, rest early. Suddenly, there was the sound of chaotic footsteps behind him. Xianxia turned around and saw his sister coming out of her room. Hugging a soft pillow with a lace rim, she walked towards Shui's room as if sleepwalking and bumped into his arms. Chapter 394. Xiao Naofu chased after her, meowing non-stop. Shui subconsciously wrapped her arms around her waist. Xiao Naofu bumped into Xianxia's trouser leg and was so scared that its fur stood on end. The surrounding temperature seemed to drop rapidly. Xianxia's eyes were cold as he looked at the drunk Xiangyi and then at the innocent-looking Shui. Explain, Xianxia said coldly. Shui's mentality was really good, and her expression didn't change. Sister E is sober now. Big brother, remember to remind her to be responsible for me? Xianxia. At the dining table, Xiangyu and Xianxia were dumbfounded. If *ck there's such a thing. He actually dared to be mischievous in front of Big brother. Xiangli pushed his glasses and a trace of worry flashed in the depths of his eyes. From a logical point of view, the room that Shui chose was one that Xiangyi had stayed in before, so it was barely reasonable. After getting drunk, she followed her body's memory and wanted to go back to her original room to sleep. But from an emotional point of view, it was obvious that their family's pampered little rabbit had self-taught herself to nibble on the grass around her nest. Xianxia's entire person exuded a threatening chill, and his eyes were sharp like snow-white blades under the light. The danger multiplied. Or courting. Death. The man enunciated each word sharply. His well-defined fingers rolled up his snow-white sleeves. Not far away, Xianxia and Xiangyu were terrified and quickly hid far away, afraid of being implicated. Xiangli got up and slowly walked forward. Xianxia sneered. What? You want to speak for him? Am I that kind? Xiangli smiled like a sly old fox. Go ahead, I'll take my sister away. Don't scare her. Xianxia scolded. Second brother, you scheming boy. I think you want to rub her face while she's drunk. Xiangyu, who was next to him, felt his fingertips itch. His sister's face felt really good when he pinched it. But when he grew up, he couldn't just pinch him as he pleased. He made a prompt decision and strode over. Let me do it. Xianxia scolded. Do you know how to take care of girls? You're so clumsy, let me do it. Then Shui found that Xiangyi's brothers were fighting among themselves. He was not nervous about being beaten up at all. He leaned lazily against the doorframe as if he had no bones. He watched the show with a faint smile, but his hand was still on Xiangyi's waist. Xiangyi was tipsy and dizzy. She could barely stand after standing for a long time and instinctively leaned on Shui's shoulder. Enough. Xianxia felt that they were too noisy. Once he opened his mouth, everyone was stunned. No one dared to say anything anymore. Xianxia grabbed Xiangyi's wrist and wanted to get her back to the room first. Unexpectedly, although Xiangyi was drunk, her reaction was not slow. Slap. The girl was drunk. Tutu was not afraid of her brother and slapped Xianxia's hand away. Xiangli. Xiangqi. Xiangyu. Sister. Actually hit big brother. Even Xianxia, who had always been cold and aloof, couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. Wow, looks like our sister E has her own ideas, Shui chuckled and said in a flirtatious voice. Sister E, do you want to go to big brother's room? Xiangyi didn't hear what he said at all. She only felt that his breath was the most familiar, so she responded softly. Shui's thin lips twitched. Do you want to sleep on big brother's bed? Xiangyi blinked her eyes, her little expression very blank. Shui naturally took her pillow and said in a rippling voice, Okay, big brother will put the pillow properly for you. Chapter 395. Xianxia and the others watched as Shui held a pillow in one hand and Xiangyi in the other as he led her to the bed. He patted the bed and said in a coaxing tone, Go to sleep. Xiangyi yawned and obediently lay down on the bed. She even lifted the thin blanket to cover herself. Good night, Sister E. Xiangyi murmured softly and covered her head with the small blanket. It was as if she found him too noisy. Shui smiled and said, Go to sleep, I'm going to get beaten up. It could be said that he was very self-aware. In the underground boxing room, Xiangyu, Xiangqi and Xiangli were sweating profusely and panting. Xiangli's breathing was the most erratic and he even took off his glasses. He usually didn't exercise and now he was regretting it. In the ring, Xianxia was still fighting with Shui. Again. Sweat flowed down Xianxia's chiseled jawline. The man's face was cold and his breathing was steady. Shui, who was opposite him, was still as calm and composed as ever. Shui is pretty good. Xiangyu muttered. After all, he could fight with Xiangyu. Xiangqi was so tired that he was lying on the ground. Hearing his words, he kicked him. Can you not boost other people's morale and diminish your own? Xiangyu said, I don't know who it was that kept getting beaten up. He almost had to climb a pillar. Xiangqi said, You didn't get beaten up? What esports guru? I think you're just a little kid. The two of them argued endlessly. Xiangli silently sat a little further away from the two of them. The next day, in the nanny van, Sichuanbai looked at the wound on his artist's eyebrow and sighed. You were beaten up. Shui was speechless. Why did he feel like he was waiting for him to get beaten up? Luckily, the wound is small. Let Shaoli cover it for you later. Sichuanbai glanced at his leg and asked sincerely, How's your leg? Do you need me to rent a wheelchair to push you to the event? Shui was confused. Are you my manager or my #1 anti-fan? He sounded helpless. Sichuanbai said righteously, I'm Miss Xiangyi's manager and her family. You're just an artist that I've managed in passing. The makeup artist couldn't help but laugh. He was Shui's personal makeup artist. After so many years they had a close relationship, so he spoke freely. If the netizens knew that you were finally beaten up by Sister Yi's brother, They would definitely set off firecrackers. Sure Sui, am I hated by humans and dogs now? Haha, it's because other than the couple fans, everyone wants Sister E to be beautiful alone. The makeup artist teased. Oh yes, I heard that the guest today is Zhou Xian. He is famous for flirting with girls. You have to work harder, otherwise Sister E might be won over by another man. When Xianxia woke up, she realized that she was in Sher Sui's room and was dumbfounded. She felt guilty and tiptoed to open the door. Just as she was about to sneak back to her room, she heard a cold voice above her head. You're awake. Xianxia instinctively stood at attention and greeted him dryly. Good morning, big brother. What do you want to eat? I'll make it for you. You've learned how to please people. Xianxia said seriously, it's only right to be nice to big brother. Songchen's expression was still cold, but he couldn't help but smile. He accidentally tugged at his wound and sucked in a breath of cold air. Xianxia asked, Brother, why are you injured? What did you do yesterday? Songchen sneered. I hit a dog. Xianxia. Chapter 396. Xiang Yin and Madame Xiang got up early and left a note, saying that they had gone hiking together. Breakfast was prepared by her brothers. Although the taste was ordinary, Xianxia ate it with great satisfaction. Zhongyi completely let herself go. She didn't even put on any makeup. She was drinking beef and radish soup with Xiangyi to sober up. After breakfast, Zhongyi got ready to leave with Jiang. The live stream happened to start and the netizens discovered that Xiangyi had stuffed the trunk of Zhongyi's nanny van to the brim. There were spicy rabbit heads, cream strawberries and other specialties from Little Rabbit Farm, as well as chili noodles, chili oil, plum wine and so on. There was also a small gift for Jiang, which was a furry rabbit plushie. This is my favorite rabbit, it's for you. Jiang blinked her large eyes and shook her head. I can't accept it then. Mommy says that it's called snatching someone else's love. Xiangyi smiled gently and stroked her little head. But I like it better, Jiang. Jiang blushed and thanked her while hugging the rabbit. She then whispered into Zhongyi's ear, Mommy, can we not accept the gift and just bring Auntie home? Although her voice was soft, she was wearing a microphone and her words were accurately captured in the live stream. Zhongyi looks amazing without makeup too. Wow, I feel like Sister E really treats Zhongyi as a friend. I can be a couple with Zhongyi. Jiang, you've spoken my mind. Your auntie will give you a sack. Under Xiangyi's influence, Zhongyi smiled brightly and changed the subject. Auntie's birthday is coming up soon, shall I give her a gift? Jiang exclaimed in a childish voice. Sure. Bye, Auntie. Jiang waved her chubby little paws and blew a kiss at Xiangyi. Xiangyi made a gesture of catching it and then made a heart gesture at her. After sending Zhongyi and her daughter off, Xiangyi walked back to the living room. The netizens finally realized that all four of Xiangyi's brothers were present. Oh, yes. Songchen was replying to emails on his laptop by the French window. There was a cup of black coffee beside his hand. Xiangli was flipping through a book on the bookshelf. The sunlight shone on his white shirt, making him look elegant and modest. Xiangqi was sewing a new apron for his sister with a needle and thread. He obviously had a devilish appearance, but doing this kind of thing didn't seem out of place. As for Xiangyu, with the mentality of giving up on himself, he was waiting in front of the kitty villa, rubbing little Shiji and hugging Xiao Naofu. He looked like a scumbag who had a wife and a concubine in his arms. The netizens in the live stream. What kind of benefit is this? This sister-in-law is here to report for duty. Where are second sister-in-law's fans? Let me see you. I'm crying, I didn't expect to see my brothers in the same frame in my lifetime. The moment Xiangyi came in, her brothers all looked at her. Sit. Xiangchen pointed at the empty seat on the opposite side. The young girl bit the bullet and went over to take a seat. She placed her hands on the table and sat down like an obedient child. Sangchen looked at her for a few seconds and suddenly said, Do you know the dangers of puppy love? Xiangyi was dumbfounded. Sangchen gestured and said, Xiangli, come here and explain to her. Xiangli readily agreed and said gently, Puppy love refers to the establishment of a romantic relationship between a man and a woman at an early age. The dangers are as follows. I'll break it down into 5 major points and 20 minor points. Xiangyi was dumbfounded. The netizens in the livestream burst into laughter. Ha, this is awesome. Are the brothers trying to tear apart a couple with their bare hands? Chapter 397. I suddenly feel like Xianxia is so childish. Second brother, why are you still cooperating with him? Okay, I got it. Break up with your boyfriend now. Oh right, I don't have a boyfriend yet. Xianxia was lectured for more than 10 minutes. In summary, puppy love is a very harmful social activity. Xiangli concluded in a gentle tone. Do you understand, little bunny? Xiangli defended herself with a pale face. I'm already 20 years old. Huh? You're only 20 years old and you're already thinking about dating? Xianxia frowned, obviously disapproving of her behavior. Xiangli said gently, you're not careful with your words. You haven't even celebrated your 20th birthday yet. Xiangqi chimed in, yes. Besides, you're still a baby at 20 years old. The 21-year-old Xiangyu crossed his arms and said stiffly, yes. Xiangyi said aggrievedly, but I'm not in a relationship yet. Xianxia frowned. You still want to take action? Xiangli tried to smooth things over. It's better to nip the problem in the bud. Okay, Xiangyi is right. Xiangyi sighed helplessly. What else could she do but listen to her brother? The netizens who were watching the live stream couldn't stop laughing. Untimely CP fans are crying in the toilet. Ah, my country owes me a brother. Her brothers are right. Xiangyi should be beautiful on her own. While the atmosphere was harmonious, Li Jinyu suddenly received a message and hurriedly cued Xiangyi. Sister, the guest is here. Today's guest was also an actor who had worked with Shi Sui before. His name was Fu Jian. He had played the role of the crown prince in that historical drama, which had captivated the hearts of countless young girls. Previously in Heartbeat, he and Yu Miao Miao tried to hype up a couple, but they failed miserably and their reputation dropped. His management team helped him get the resources of two under one roof, in order to clear his name. I'll go pick up the guests then, Xiangyi said to her brothers and got up to go to the door. Xiangyi walked to the black gate. Other than Fu Jian's nanny van, there was also a red sports car behind. Fu Jian was handsome and took the initiative to greet Xiangyi. Hello, sistery. I'm Fu Jian. You can call me Brother Jian. The netizens in the livestream were all complaining. Ah, this is too greasy. No way? Brother Jian sounds so, I really can't accept the fact that His Highness the Crown Prince has turned into a greasy youth sob. Before Xiangyi could say anything, a disdainful sneer came from the supercar. How unsophisticated. The camera panned back and saw a girl with exquisite makeup and a socialite dress getting out of the sports car. She threw the car keys at Fu Jian arrogantly. Fu Jian took it instinctively. Hey, stop the car for me. Fu Jian, huh? Come on, did he look like a parking valet? Xiangyi blinked, obviously happy. Jujio, what are you doing here? Li Jinyu and the others were dumbfounded. This girl isn't a guest. Jiang Jujio raised her chin and said arrogantly, don't think that I'm here for you. I'm just here to see Grandpa Xiang and Madame Xiang. Xiangyi said with a composed expression, oh, I see. Jiang Jujio seemed to be very dissatisfied with her answer. She humphed and walked in her high heels. Li Jinyu asked in bewilderment, Sister E, this is? Xiangyi asked carefully, Pi friend. Right? Jiang Jujio, who was in front, paused in her tracks. Chapter 398. Atrocious. What's with that tone of hers? She's so reluctant to call me a friend. Little did she know that Xiangyi felt that the person who had occupied her body had made new friends and neglected Jiang Jujio in the past year. Perhaps Jiang Jujio no longer treated her as a friend. Jiang Jujio gritted her teeth and walked even faster. The comments about Jiang Jujio in the livestream weren't very friendly. This girl is too arrogant. Xiangyi briefly introduced Jiang Jujio on the spot. She's an excellent violinist and the chief of the Orpheus Orchestra. We've known each other since kindergarten. Li Jinyu gasped and asked, Is it the Orpheus Orchestra that I know? In the live stream, Orpheus Orchestra? What the hell? I'm speechless. It's one of the top orchestras abroad and they have to be under 30 years old. I'm a music major just passing by. This girl is super impressive. She's a musical genius. She has an absolute sense of music. All of a sudden the comment section was filled with discussions about Jiang Jujio. Fu Jian helped Jiang Jujio park the car bitterly, but he was immediately tricked by the production team. Li Jinyu smiled and handed him a few mission cards. Jian, draw one. Fu Jian casually drew a card and opened it only to be dumbfounded. Bathe the little black pig? Fu Jian's eyelids twitched. Don't tell me all the mission cards are for this? Li Jinyu asked. Am I that kind of person? Fu Jian looked hesitant. He then heard Li Jinyu exclaim indignantly, I am. Fu Jian was speechless. I'll bear with it for the sake of clearing my name. He had a rather boisterous personality, but when he played the role of the Crown Prince back then, he left a deep impression on everyone. Countless fans became fans of him because of his role, so they naturally hoped that he could be like the Crown Prince in person. The production team had been asking him to create a persona for himself, but after a long time he couldn't keep up with the act and hence became a greasy young man whose persona had collapsed. Fu Jian mentally prepared himself in a few seconds and asked expectantly, Will Sister E help me catch the pig then? He was a loyal fan of Two Under One Roof, and usually he would watch the live stream crazily. He had watched the scenes of Xianxia catching the pig over 100 times. You have hands and feet, why should she catch a pig for you? Jiang Jujio was dumbfounded as soon as she entered the living room. The Demon King and the others were all there. She stammered and greeted them before hurriedly coming out in shock. When she heard that Fu Jian had asked Xianxia to help him catch the pig, she got angry. How could such a cute girl like Yi go catch a pig? Fu Jian said resentfully. I don't know how to, Jiang Jujio said aggressively. If you don't know, you can go and learn. A girl's hands are not meant for catching pigs. Coincidentally, Xianxia went to the tool room to take out gloves, straw hats, sunscreen sleeves and other items. She gave one to Fu Jian and one for herself. Jiang Jujio asked in disbelief. Hey, where's mine? Xianxia was stunned. It's very sunny outside. Go to the living room and enjoy the air conditioning. There are snacks in the mini fridge. Jiang Jujio's eyes widened. Are you a devil? The great Demon King is in the living room. Xianxia thought about it and realized that Jiang Jujio seemed to be quite afraid of Xianxia. She asked tentatively, Shall we go together then? Since you've invited me so enthusiastically, I'll reluctantly agree to your suggestion. Fu Jian asked, But didn't you say that girls can't catch pigs with their hands? Jiang Jujio rolled her eyes. It's none of your business. Chapter 399. Fu Jian was speechless. Am I being despised? His deflated expression was so funny that everyone in the comments section of the livestream burst into laughter. Trying to reason with a girl? Brother, aren't you courting death? Does Two Under One Roof have some kind of anti-filth function? Even Fu Jian finds it pleasing to the eye. Shocking. A popular male celebrity is doing such a thing in broad daylight with two girls. Amidst the commotion of the audience, Xianxia and the other two arrived at the farm. The little black pigs were being reared on the hillside. Fu Jian asked curiously, Sister E, how many pigs do you have in total? Xianxia said, Not many, just dozens. Fu Jian was shocked and he looked like a walking emoji. Let me do the math. According to 40 yuan per catty of pork and 50 kilograms per pig, each pig is worth 4,000 yuan. There are so many of them on the mountain. They're not pigs, they're money. Jiang Jujio said in disdain, Look at how ignorant you are. Fu Jian scratched his head, feeling a little embarrassed. I'll go catch one first and see if I can catch one. It's cooler here under the shade, you two wait for me here. Xianxia said, Actually, you don't have to catch one. Jiang Jujio interjected, Who are you looking down on? I'm not a good-for-nothing. I want to go too. Fu Jian said, Let's see who catches it first then. Xianxia said, You really don't have to. The two of them didn't listen to her at all. They somehow felt like competing with each other and rushed up the hillside. Xianxia was speechless. Forget it, as long as you guys are happy. Fu Jian and Jiang Jujio had their eyes on the same little black pig. The two of them pounced on it from both sides only to be defeated. The little black pig scurried away. Fu Jian said regretfully, What a pity, this pig is quite cute. Jiang Jujio licked the corner of her lips and said, It should be delicious braised pork. Fu Jian was speechless. All of a sudden, a large, sturdy and powerful black pig appeared in front of them, followed by a little black pig that was whining. Jiang Jujio turned pale and exclaimed, It can actually call Daddy over. Fu Jian pulled a long face. Is it too late for us to call it Daddy now? The answer was that it was too late. The big black boar dug into the ground and charged at the two of them aggressively. Ah! As a result, the live stream was filled with the screams of two people being chased by pigs. Pig catching girl Coco Love. F***ck, what kind of stupid variety show is this? I'm dying of laughter in front of the screen. Zhou Xian must be a comedian deep down. It's such a pity that he didn't go into crosstalk. Zhou Xian and Zhang Jujio fled frantically together with the cameraman. For some reason they alarmed the black pigs nearby. All of a sudden the scene was extremely chaotic and there were piglets running wild all over the hillside. Seeing that the situation was becoming more and more dangerous, the audience gradually felt that something was wrong. There won't be an accident, right? Is there something wrong with the production team? Arranging such a dangerous mission, aren't the artists' lives more important? If she falls, there might be a stampede. What if she hurts the girl's hand? She's a violinist. This is really the most confusing act of the year. Can't the vase fairy do it herself? Why did she let the crown prince and the girl take the risk? This is too much. I suspect that she's doing it on purpose. She's jealous of Zhang Jujio. She's the chief of Orpheus. It's easy for people to be jealous of their friends. If she goes to Orpheus, do you think anyone will want her? Chapter 400. Some people were purely worried about the safety of the guests, while others were stirring up trouble, wishing they could trample on Xianxia a few more times. There were only so many decent resources in the entertainment industry, and now that Xianxia had become famous, she was bound to touch the cake of others. Some people didn't want her to become famous. There were also people guarding against her exploding to the front line. As the situation became more and more dangerous, Li Jinyu also panicked and shouted through the loudspeaker, "Everyone, don't panic. Come to my side first." Before he finished speaking, a little black pig that was passing by bumped into his leg and Li Jinyu fell to the ground. He was speechless. The cameraman old Zhang did not forget to give him a close-up. However, no one could laugh now. The urgency of the audience seemed to be overflowing through the screen. Oh my god, His Highness can't take this hit. Xianxia, can't you control your pig? I'm speechless. Where is she? Did she run away? How can she be so irresponsible? I'm speechless. Is the production team brainless? Why did they set up such a dangerous task? Someone said weakly, the last time Sister E caught pigs it wasn't this dangerous. This should just be an accident. This person had just defended Xianxia, but he was criticized so badly that he began to doubt his life and shut himself up on the spot. Seeing that the chaotic situation couldn't be resolved, a clear whistle sounded. All of a sudden the restless little black pigs quietened down. The whistle was melodious and immediately afterwards, the little black pigs all headed in one direction. Everyone at the scene was speechless. The netizens were speechless. Oh wow, is this a miracle? Everyone looked at the source of the whistle in unison, only to see a slender girl carrying a bag of corn and a bag of vegetables, standing by a small pond not far away and whistling. She scattered the corn and vegetables on the ground, and the little black pigs obediently ate. After they were full, some jumped into the shallow water by the small pond and snorted. The scene changed from a violent and dangerous pig chase to a warm and harmonious rural life. The netizens were speechless. Didn't she just say that she didn't have to catch the pigs? Damn. Sister was really strong. Carrying 2 such big sacks in one go? Anyway, I can't carry it. Those who scolded and ran away come out and get beaten up. Xianxia went to get some food. Who knew that they would be chased by pigs? Instantly, the group of people who had scolded the most fiercely just now were too embarrassed to say anything. It turned out that not only did she not abandon them, she even appeared to help them out. Phew. Zhou Xian let out a long sigh of relief. Oh my god, I was scared to death. He was drenched in sweat from running and his clothes were stained with grass and mud because he had been protecting Zhang Jujio just now. Zhang Jujio, who was at the side, wasn't much better than him. Her meticulously permed hair had already fallen apart and the bow on her head was crooked too. She walked towards Xianxia fiercely. Zhou Xian was shocked. Could it be that this eldest miss was going to settle the score with Sister E? He was not the only one. Many people in the livestream had the same thought. Oh, someone is going to be unlucky. Serves her right. Who told her not to appear earlier and make Zhang Jujio so disheveled? Let's fight, let's fight. Let's tear our hair apart. It's finally time for a fight. I'm so excited. However, to everyone's surprise, Zhang Jujio stood still with her hands on her waist. Hey, I want to eat that pig for lunch. Chapter 401. Everyone was speechless. What the hell? Sister, do you still remember that you're a noble and elegant violinist? Xianxia asked in a gentle voice. Huh? Which one? That one. Jiang Jujio felt extremely aggrieved. It's rubbing my butt. Humph, I'm going to eat it. Jiang Jujio was very willful, but Xianxia indulged her. Okay, we'll kill it later then. The netizens were appalled. Little black pig, it can't escape the punishment of fate. Ha, this girl is so cute. Sister E is a woman who says the cruelest things in the most gentle tone. Pigs are so cute, how can one be enough? Why don't you kill 2 more and hold a fan lucky draw? The disheveled Fu Jian seemed to have had an epiphany as he muttered. So this is the correct way to complete the bathing task. Heaven and man are one, the Tao is natural, people and the environment get along harmoniously. Amit Ba, little piggy, I wish you a speedy ascension to heaven. No wonder Xianxia said that there's no need to catch them. It turns out that if I feed the pigs by the small pond, they'll jump in and bathe themselves. The netizens teased. Fu Jian, Master, I'm enlightened. Is the crown prince trying to expiate souls? Fu Jian is a comedian. Major variety show dads, please look at our brother. This segment was too entertaining. Li Jinyu sighed with emotion. Back then when Shui asked him to invite Xianxia, he did so with the intention of getting a buy one get one free deal. But now it seemed that Xianxia was the treasure that he had bought, and Shui's father was just a freebie that was placed on sale at the supermarket. He even wanted to tailor a variety show for Sister E. Isn't it nice to be alone and beautiful? When the time comes, the variety show award would be within reach. Hee hee hey hee hee. Wan Qing's voice pulled Li Jinyu back to reality. How much longer are you planning to sit on the ground? Li Jinyu snapped back to his senses and finally realized that he was still sitting on the ground. Wan Qing reached her hand out to him in amusement. Li Jinyu was stunned and said weakly, Sister Wan, can you not hit my face? I didn't know that this mission would have such a dangerous possibility. Previously when Sister E was catching pigs, it was all very peaceful. Wan Qing was speechless. I was trying to pull you up. So it wasn't him? Little Li the sociopath was ecstatic. After the little piglets finished bathing, Xianxia skillfully caught them and prepared to bring them to be processed. She then arranged for Fu Jian to pick some ingredients. Pick some red and green chilies, 2 green onions and 2 heads of garlic. Thank you. Fu Jian was elated. Great. Sister E, you're the best. You gave me such a light job. Jiang Jujio asked, what about me? Xianxia pointed at the glass greenhouse and said, why don't you take a rest inside and I'll make you a pot of flower tea? Fu Jiayan, isn't this a double standard? Wasn't this double standard? The young girl washed her hands and made tea for Jiang Jujio in a fluid manner. Before she left, she even helped Jiang Jujio redo the bow hairpin. Jiang Jujio was secretly delighted, but she still had to pretend to be indifferent. Hey, by the way, I want to eat braised pork trotters. Xianxia said, okay. She carried the struggling little black pig with one hand and walked towards the kitchen. The cameraman asked, why are you so nice to Miss Jiang? Xianxia was puzzled. Isn't it only right to be nice to your friends? All of a sudden, countless people flocked to Shui's Weibo. Shui v. Shui. If you don't come back, your wife is going to run away with someone else. Chapter 402. At the same time. At a certain movie premiere. Although Shui played a supporting role in the movie, his character design and scenes were very outstanding. After the premiere, the character that left the deepest impression on everyone was the one he played. Even during the interview, he was the one who was asked the most questions. Shui calmly brought the topic back to the main character. However, in the end, he still couldn't avoid the reporter's questions. Shui, some people say that you're lowering yourself by playing a supporting role for a newcomer even though you've already won the Best Actor award. What do you think? Shui pushed his gold-rimmed glasses up his nose and said gently, I used to be a newcomer too. For actors, it's important to know how to portray their roles well. Shui, what's your upcoming work schedule? Aren't you going to join the cast? Shui said, I'll take into account external factors and my own situation to choose the most suitable script. I won't let down the audience's expectations of me. The reporters were a little disappointed, but they were used to it. When Shui had just debuted, his words were logical and watertight. Although it could be considered an art of language, it was still not a hot topic in gimmicks. Oh, someone asked. The netizens are voting. Does Sister E like a wolf puppy or a puppy? Which type does Xianxia think he is? Which type does Sister E like? Everyone was speechless. Listen, that was the right question. For a moment, all the cameras were aimed at Xianxia, hoping to hear some juicy gossip. The handsome man raised his eyebrows and said lazily, "Can't I be human?" Someone laughed first and the crowd burst into laughter. The reporter who asked the question held back his laughter and asked, "Xianxia, do you think Sister E likes a wolf puppy or a puppy?" Xianxia said, "I know. He should like humans." Pfft. The reporters realized that Xianxia actually had a humorous side to him. However, if one thought about it carefully, one would realize that there was a double meaning to his response. Sister E liked humans, but he was also a human. It could be understood that Sister E liked him, but she didn't use a definite tone, which made people's imaginations run wild. "Damn. Brother, where can I buy your works?" Xianxia was busy in the kitchen. Fu Jiyan was bored out of his wits and wasn't familiar with Xianxi's brothers either. Hence he had no choice but to chat with Jiang Jujiu awkwardly. Jiang Jujiu wasn't in the mood. While playing with her cell phone, she answered indifferently. Suddenly Fu Jiyan asked about Xianxi. "When did you meet Sister E?" Jiang Jujiu raised her head and said with certainty, 3.5 years old. "Even remember this?" Fu Jiyan was a little surprised. "A 3-year-old child can't remember anything, right?" "I just remember." "Tell me then, what was Sister E like when she was 3.5 years old?" Jiang Jujiu got lost in her memories and paused for a moment before saying, "She was pretty much the same as she is now. She was a crybaby, timid, weak, helpless and pitiful." Fu Jian was speechless. "Wait, are you sure you're talking about Sister E?" She's just an annoying kid," Jiang Jujiu commented. Thinking about what happened in kindergarten, Jiang Jujiu got angry. "Xianxi is very nice, but she's nice to every child. Anyone can share her after-meal fruits. She already has a harem at such a young age. She's so annoying." Chapter 403. However, in the ears of the netizens watching the livestream, her words sounded a little different. Haven't you guys realized that Xianxi doesn't have any friends at all?" "Who said she doesn't? Qin Wanyan is her best friend, yet she exposed her so easily. From this point you can see her character. Although Xianxia doesn't have many friends, they are all close friends. On the other hand, the vase fairy only knows how to seduce men. How could she have a true female friend?" As the camera panned to the kitchen, Xianxi's pork trotters were stewing, and the live comments were instantly flooded with new comments. "Is this Xiaohei? Looks so fragrant. Wow, Xiaohei has such a good figure. She's neither fat nor thin. I'm drooling. Xiaohei? You guys are still lusting after my body at a time like this? Be a human. Sister E is weak, helpless and pitiful? She's a devil who can catch a pig with one hand and sharpen her knife to kill a pig." The comments section was very lively, but Xianxi's expression was very calm as she quietly cooked. Every time she cooked, she would put her heart and soul into it. What might be boring for others was equivalent to relieving stress for her. The scene of a young girl cooking was pleasing to the eye, as if she was enjoying a piece of art. When the last dish was placed on the plate, Xiangqi and Xiangyu had already consciously come over to serve the dishes. Fu Jiyan was still thinking about clearing his name, so he helped clean up the table and sat upright with a solemn expression. "I can't eat too much. I'm going to steal the role of an otherworldly immortal. I just have to taste each dish. Besides, I don't believe that the previous live stream wasn't an act. Sister Yi's cooking did look delicious, but how delicious could it be?" Fu Jian picked up a piece of twice-cooked pork with his chopsticks, still thinking about how he had eaten at a top-notch restaurant that cost a few thousand yuan per person. What the F***ck? It was fatty but not greasy, salty and slightly spicy. The slightly sweet taste suddenly bloomed on the tip of his tongue, capturing his taste buds in an instant. The pork was freshly slaughtered and the chili was freshly picked. Paired with bean paste, green onions and garlic sprouts, it created a rich and unique taste. What kind of delicacy was this? An exceptional delicacy. Fu Jiyan was dumbfounded. By the time he reacted, the dishes on the table had already been reduced by a third. His pupils trembled as he looked at the scene in front of him in shock. Hades had brought his own big bowl of rice, but Xiangyu's bowl was even bigger than his. Perhaps it would be more appropriate to describe it as a small basin. Even the elegant and modest Dr. Xiang and the cold and indifferent lawyer Xiang had small mountains of rice on their plates. Country bumpkins. Zhang Jiujiu said in disdain. What's wrong with that? In the past they would even bring pots and pans to their meals. Fu Zheyan suddenly realized that the competition in the Xiang clan was actually so cruel. As he ate he asked, "Why aren't you eating?" Zhang Jiujiu picked up a piece of stir-fried vegetable elegantly and rinsed it with water before eating it. She raised her head arrogantly. The orchestra is about to perform. I'm the lead violinist. Rounding it off, it would be the C position, alright? I'm trying to lose weight, so I definitely won't eat such greasy meat dishes. Not even a single bite. Fu Zheyan agreed. You're right. Missy, I wish you success. In the next second he picked up all the remaining pieces of vegetables in front of Zhang Jiujiu. Zhang Jiujiu was speechless. At this moment, a strong and spicy aroma wafted into her nose. Chapter 404. She couldn't control her physiological instincts and looked towards the source of the aroma. Xiangyi came out of the kitchen with a plate of braised food. At the top was a soft and tender pork trotter, surrounded by a circle of duck wings and chicken feet, as well as a few pieces of dried tofu and shiitake mushrooms. The food was all soaked in the beautiful reddish-brown gravy and sprinkled with some white sesame seeds. The aroma of the food wafted in all directions, causing the cravings in the depths of one's heart to come out. Fu Zheyan. Zhang Jiujiu. The brothers of the Xiang family were obviously immune to their sister's delicacies as they all looked rather calm. However, the impact on Fu Zheyan and Zhang Jiujiu was too great. It smells so good. How can it be so fragrant? Gulp. Fu Zheyan couldn't help but swallow his saliva. Xiangyi placed the braised food platter in the middle of the dining table and said, I asked around and everyone can take spicy food, so I made some spicy food. Try it. By the way, I'll go get some soy milk. The little girl got up to get the soy milk and the table immediately went into battle mode. The brothers of the Xiang family exchanged glances and sparks flew everywhere. Fu Zheyan was so cowardly that he didn't dare to move his chopsticks at all. Zhang Jiujiu thought of her bold words just now and decided not to move her chopsticks for the sake of her pride. Soon the brothers of the Xiang family decided who was better. Xianxia was the first to move his chopsticks and picked up a few pieces of pork trotters that were just right for his mouth. Xiangli was the second to move his chopsticks and he picked up all the vegetarian dishes. Xiangqi and Xiangyu were carnivores, so one of them picked up a duck wing while the other picked up chicken feet. When it was Fu Zheyan's turn, he picked up a small piece of pork trotter that had fallen on the plate and stuffed it into his mouth. It was fragrant at first, but it soon turned numb and spicy on the tip of his tongue. The meat was soft and tender and even the bones seemed to have been stewed. The sauce rubbed against his mouth and brought out a sweet aftertaste. After swallowing the small piece of meat, it really melted in his mouth and left a rich aftertaste. It was different from Fu Zheyan's initial imagination. Once he tasted it, he really got carried away. Only tasting each dish and not eating more? No way. Fu Zheyan fully demonstrated to the audience what an adult man's appetite was. He wished he could bury his face in his bowl and enjoy the food. The netizens were speechless. This is like a pig entering a granary. Your Highness, what kind of delicacies haven't you eaten before? Do you really have to enjoy them so much? It's over, the calm and collected crown prince in my heart is gone. All that's left is this heartless eating machine in front of me. As for Zhang Jiujiu, she had fallen into a painful struggle. Not eating, Xiangyi's clear voice sounded in her ears. Jiujiu, go ahead and eat. The girl took the initiative to give her a piece of pork trotter. Didn't you say you wanted to eat this? Zhang Jiujiu pulled a long face and said arrogantly, is that so? I don't even remember. If I ask you to do it, you will do it. If others ask you to do it, you will do it. Humph. Xiangyi said, yes. He seemed to have realized something. Sorry, I'll change my chopsticks. She didn't notice that she was using her own chopsticks. Although she hadn't started eating yet. Zhang Jiujiu might have minded it, so she didn't eat. She brought a clean plate for Zhang Jiujiu and used the serving chopsticks to pick up some pork trotters, duck wings, mushrooms and so on. She had gathered all the dishes on the platter. Seeing how careful Xiangyi was and how she treated her like a stranger, Jiang Juju was furious. Do I have to eat just because you asked me to? Why should I listen to you? Chapter 405. Xianxia looked at Jiang Juju in bewilderment with her clear eyes. She was the one who said she wanted to eat. Why is she angry now? Women are really unpredictable. In the livestream, there were inevitably some haters who came out to criticize Jiang Juju because of her attitude. Welcome, Chief Jiang is slapping the vase fairy in the face online. She can't be bothered to care about you and yet she's giving you the cold shoulder. What a joke. I feel embarrassed for Xianxia even through the screen. You should check if you're worthy of being friends with Jiang Juju or not. The actress is obviously jealous. Jiang Juju has already said that she wants to lose weight, but she's deliberately making Jiang Juju eat greasy and high-calorie food. What is she up to? She's so evil. The brothers of the Xiang family glanced at Jiang Juju. She couldn't hide her thoughts from them, but they couldn't be bothered to get involved in the matters between girls. Hence they continued to eat separately. Xianxia thought about it and said in a warm voice, "Don't eat then? Do you have any other dishes you want to eat? I'll make them for you or I can order some takeout for you like a light salad." Perhaps Jiang Juju just didn't want to eat the food she cooked. Xianxia felt that she shouldn't force her. Jiang Juju glared at her. Is that how you persuade people to eat? Xianxia was slightly embarrassed. I'm really not very good at this. For example, Jiang Juju's grandmother was very good at persuading people to eat. Whenever there were juniors in the family, she would enthusiastically make them eat. She would only persuade them to stop eating if they couldn't eat. Jiang Juju picked up her chopsticks and said arrogantly, "Since you've already cooked, I'll try it. I'm telling you, if it's not delicious, I'll spit it out." Xianxia nodded obediently. Atrocious. How can I be so cute? The tips of Jiang Juju's ears turned red. She avoided Xianxi's gaze and lowered her head to scrutinize it. She then chose the tender and glossy pork trotter and took a bite. The world seemed to have suddenly frozen as the hustle and bustle turned into silence while the colors turned into black and white. Jiang Juju felt as if there were fireworks exploding in her head. Then a white light appeared in front of his eyes and all of his senses became dull. Only his sense of taste was magnified countless times. He could acutely sense that the thick gravy was wrapped in the bouncy meat that was rich in collagen. It was extremely invasive and occupied his taste buds unstoppably. His saliva was secreted rapidly and he swallowed it down his throat. How is it? Xianxia asked. Jiang Juju didn't answer, or rather she answered with her actions. The little girl moved her chopsticks as if they were flying, crazily stuffing food into her mouth. The bones of the chicken feet came off with a light suck, and the meat of the duck wings came off in a few bites. The vegetables were even more so. One mouthful after another, she couldn't stop at all. Phew. Her lips were red from the spiciness, and there was a tingling and burning sensation spreading. However, the pain only intensified the stimulation, just like when one ate a spicy stick. The spiciness made one's brain buzz, but thousands of words could be condensed into one word. Awesome. Xianxia handed her a bottle of soy milk at the right time. Jiang Juju sucked 2 mouthfuls with a straw and found that it wasn't enough. Hence, she hugged the bottle tightly and continued to eat the braised food. Her belly was bulging at a speed visible to the naked eye. Click. The buttons on the waist of her red checkered skirt suddenly burst open. Although she wasn't exposed, it happened to be recorded by the camera. The netizens were dumbfounded. Did she eat so much that her skirt burst open? Before the crowd had time to complain, they saw Xianxia blocking the camera. Her milky white face was extremely serious. Don't shoot. Chapter 406. The staff were all stunned. Ever since the livestream began, they had never seen Sister E so fierce. Even when she threw the scumbag away yesterday, she still looked nonchalant. There were suddenly more comments in the livestream. A new cult has appeared. How can it be stagnant? Ijo, I can do it. Pretty girls should have sex with pretty girls. I'm on Jiu Yi's side. Sundra Big Sister X is gentle, rich, and beautiful. She's like a fairy. Madam, please give me more food. Wow, Sister E is so gentle. Actually, Jiang Juju didn't expose herself, she even covered it immediately. At the dining table, Jiang Juju's face was flushed red and she was so ashamed that she wished she could dig a hole and bury herself in it. She hurriedly sucked in her stomach and tried to pretend that nothing had happened. However, She had eaten too much and even drank 2 bottles of soy milk. Her stomach was so round that she couldn't suck it in at all. The men present were all very gentlemanly and didn't make fun of her. Xianxia even took the initiative to ask, "Do you want me to stitch it up for you?" For the sake of making friends with Xianxia, her brothers had always been worried sick. That was the difference between men and women. After all, there was a limit to how much care they could give Xianxia. Some subtle warmth was energy that could only be transmitted between girls. No. Jiang Juju refused without even thinking about it. It's too embarrassing. All of a sudden Xianxia grabbed her wrist. Jiang Juju looked up and met the girl's clear eyes, which seemed to be filled with moonlight and were incredibly gentle. "I'll take you to my room." Jiang Juju looked away awkwardly and didn't say anything. In the bedroom, Jiang Juju changed into a loose cotton linen dress and quietly poked her head out of the cloakroom. The first thing she saw was Xianxia, who was helping her sew the buttons. The young girl skillfully threaded the needle and sewed the button. Her white wrist lightly circled it twice and successfully tied the knot. She used her teeth to break the knot and then carefully used the ironing machine to iron the skirt. Jiang Juju was speechless. It was a wonderful feeling. They hadn't contacted each other for a long time, but they didn't become distant. But, thinking of what Qin Wanyan said, Jiang Juju felt a little awkward. Xianxia noticed her. "Do you want to switch back? Or are you going to wear mine first?" Jiang Juju deliberately said fiercely, "Does your heart ache to wear your clothes? That's not what I meant. No. Jiang Juju covered her ears and said, "I'm going out to eat." She went to the living room and sat down at the dining table. She hugged the pig trotter and began to gnaw on it. The Xiang brothers and Fu Jian had already moved to the sofa lounge. Fu Jian was perplexed when he saw this scene. "Isn't she on a diet? Why are you still eating so much?" Xiang Li sipped his tea and said, "Mr. Fu, you must be single." Fu Jian was shocked. "Huh. Dr. Xiang, how could you tell? You guys are too good at scientific research." Xiang Li smiled but said nothing. Li Jinyu interacted with Jiang Juju. "Sis, what do you think of Sister Yi's culinary skills?" "Not very good," she said in a peeved tone. "But you're enjoying your food. Even your dress has been ripped apart. Why are you still lying? Aren't you friends? Why are you taking the lead to slander Sister Yi?" The word friends hit Jiang Juju's sore spot. She turned her head and said fiercely, "I'm not friends with her. I unilaterally declare that she and I are biological sisters of different parents." There was an uproar in the livestream. Chapter 407. Does this mean that Sister E is her best friend? Bullshit, she clearly treats Sister E as her best friend. The haters stared at their keyboards in bewilderment. Someone like the Vase Fairy actually had a friend, and a close friend at that. Are we not fast enough to type? Before they could even argue, they got slapped in the face. In the production team of Eating Well for all 3 meals, the director had arranged for someone to keep an eye on the movements of 2 under one roof. After hearing about this matter, everyone was even more convinced that there was definitely a script. Poach her. Poach her immediately. Poach her with an annual salary of 1,000,000 yuan. In the living room of the manor, Xianxia stared at Jiang Juju in shock, unable to believe the scene in front of her. She subconsciously pinched her palm. The pain came clearly, confirming that everything at this moment was real. After Jiang Juju said those words angrily, her face, ears, and neck were all flushed and her shoulders trembled slightly. She was extremely ashamed, but she still pretended to be arrogant. Of course I don't care what she thinks. Even if she doesn't treat me as a friend, I won't take it to heart." Everyone was speechless. "Miss, do you know that you're a tsundere? You may say that you don't care, but anyone who isn't blind can tell that you care a lot about it." "Juju." Xianxia murmured. Jiang Juju asked in displeasure, "What?" Xianxia wanted to say something, but when she was about to say it, she habitually asked, "Do you want to eat dessert?" Jiang Juju was even angrier. "Is it that difficult to say that I treat you as a friend too? Is it that difficult?" Xianxia was actually a little embarrassed. Besides, she didn't have any close friends and didn't know how to get along with Jiang Juju at all. Hence, she could only treat Jiang Juju like how she had successfully wooed her brothers. "What do you want to eat?" "I'll make it for you," Jiang Juju said seriously. When her brothers heard this, their expressions were different, but they all felt the same. They were a little jealous. Xiangyi's words were like a password to Jiang Jujio, but they could easily decipher it. When his younger sister said, "I'll cook for you," there was basically no emotional meaning behind it. He simply liked to cook. When his younger sister said, "I'll cook for you," it meant that she had a good impression of this person and was close to him. When his younger sister said, "What do you want to eat? I'll make it for you," this meant that she had a strong impression of him. If it were a man, they would have suspected that Xiangyi was confessing. Jiang Jujio pouted and said, "I'm going to take an afternoon nap later, and then have afternoon tea." "All right. I still want to go to the glass greenhouse to take pictures. Help me shoot." "All right. I want to sleep with you tonight." Jiang Jujio clenched her fists and said with a flushed face, "You have to wear our sister's pajamas with me." "Sure." Jiang Jujio's eyes were glistening and she seemed to be trying to hide the joy in her heart. She lowered her head and took a few more bites of food, but the corners of her mouth were raised high. Her brothers. Was this the friendship between girls? In the live stream, the fans of the Ijio couple were celebrating. "Shui, am I not worthy?" "Jujio, yes." "Medic. Give me an injection of insulin." "Woohoo, sleep together. Our Jujio is the rightful wife, no one dares to refute, right? Sister E is so good at doting on others." Sob sob sob. Is this what sisterhood is like? Chapter 408. The netizens in the livestream chatted excitedly about the couple and someone took screenshots of it and submitted them to a famous verified account. All of a sudden they were all laughing and mocking Shui. After Shui attended the premiere and the celebratory banquet, Sichuanbai showed her the trending searches. The man who had always been strict and meticulous was obviously trying to hold back his laughter at this moment. "You've been despised by the netizens again." Shui raised her eyebrows and noticed that he used the word "again." After casually browsing through the process of the matter, he couldn't help but laugh. It's a good thing that Sister E has friends. After all, there was a 7-year age gap between him and Xiangyi and the two of them didn't have much interaction in the past. However, he had seen how lonely she was when she was in school. She kept skipping grades and getting busy all the time. In his impression, Jiang Jujio was the friend she had been hanging out with for the longest time. Sichuanbai said, "You're quite open-minded. Should I praise you for having a good attitude?" The Ijio couple has already been created. Shui sat in the nanny van, crossed her long legs lazily and slowly loosened her tie. Changed the navigation to the manor. Outside the window, light and shadows flashed and the scenery changed. The man said calmly, "Go back and teach the little girl what it means to be the main wife." Sichuanbai was speechless. Indeed, he and the netizens were overthinking. So what if she's at Sundra? Shui has never lost. While Jiang Jujio went to take a nap, the livestream was paused and Li Jinyu announced for everyone to take a 2-hour break. Xiangyi was in a state of excitement and couldn't fall asleep at all. She ran to the kitchen, picked up a taro, peeled it and got ready to steam it to make mashed taro. She remembered that Jiang Jujio liked it. Suddenly, a few tall figures walked in from the kitchen. Xiangli came over and took the initiative to peel the taro for Xiangyi. After the acupuncture, his hand had improved a lot. Xiangyi was sitting on a small stool and playing with a game console. His hand speed was astonishingly fast. Xiangqi leaned against the wall lazily and yawned, wondering why Xiangyu had gathered everyone. Xianxia stood tall and slender. Even though he was dressed in casual clothes, it was difficult to hide his oppressive aura. He said indifferently, "Let the family meeting begin." Xiangyi was slightly startled. She was hesitating whether she should put down the taro, but then she heard Xiangli say, "Relax. We're mainly talking about whether that person will come back." Xiangqi felt as if he had been struck by lightning. My guess can't be right? Xiangyu looked up with a blank expression. Xianxia glanced at Lao San and Lao Si, who were asking for a beating. He forced himself to be patient and explained to them how Xiangyi's body had been possessed for the past year. Although Xiangqi was surprised, he accepted it very well. Xiangyi was a little confused. Xiangyi steamed the clean taro and the purple potatoes that were used for coloring. Her tone was somewhat helpless as she said, "I asked Xiao Naofu, but it has no way of contacting the main system, so I'm not sure." "Xiangyu? Wasn't Xiao Naofu just an ordinary kitten?" Probably because his expression was too shocked, Xiangqi patted him on the shoulder. "Hey, it's okay. Little uncle must be stupider than you." He would never guess that in the past year little sister wasn't little sister. Xiangyu. Comparing him to little uncle? Thank you, but he wasn't comforted. Xiangli, who had the highest IQ, frowned. If there's no way to take a shortcut, then we can only use the stupidest method. Everyone looked at him in unison. According to the known situation, the premise of soul replacement should be that little sister is injured or in a weak state. Then the simplest way is to find someone to protect her 24 hours a day. Chapter 409. Xianxia asked, "Bodyguard? I'll go look for one and see if there are any suitable ones." Xiangqi interjected, "You have to find a female bodyguard. A male bodyguard can't be guaranteed to be around 24 hours a day." Xiangyu's brain twitched. A boyfriend can. In an instant the three brothers cast murderous glances at him. Xiangyu wished he could die on the spot. He said, "I was just kidding, is it funny?" Haha. He laughed dryly as cold sweat broke out on his forehead, for fear that his brother would teach him a lesson. Xianxia glanced at him and couldn't be bothered to argue with him. He said calmly, "I'll make the arrangements." Xiangli said, "I think I can apply for official protection of family members. Let me make a call to confirm." Xiangqi exclaimed, "I'll go ask around too." Xiangyu said, "I'll ask my friends too." The few of them were very efficient. As soon as the taro and purple potatoes were cooked, Xiangyi learned that she had 10 bodyguards. The corners of her mouth twitched. Isn't that a little too much? Actually, I can protect myself too. 10 is too much. Don't let your guard down. Don't worry, I can afford it." Xiangyi had no choice but to accept their good intentions. After the family meeting, the brothers left one after another. After all, they all had things to do. After sending her brothers away, Xiangyi was a little melancholic, but she soon accepted reality. She cherished it even more because it was too difficult to get together. Jiang Jujio woke up from her afternoon nap and scurried out of the guest room to look for Xiangyi. After wandering around, she saw Xiangyi in the kitchen. The young girl was quietly preparing the ingredients for milk tea, which were her favorites, such as mashed taro and taro balls. The light in the oven was on and the aroma of cookies wafted out. It was a warm and quiet scene. Ding! It was time for the oven to open. Xiangyi took out the cookies and tasted them. Seemingly thinking that they tasted good, the young girl tilted her head and gave herself a thumbs up. Jiang Jujio. "Ah, my sisters are so cute." Sensing Jiang Jujio's gaze, Xiangyi looked over and said with a smile, "You're awake. Do you want to go for afternoon tea?" Jiang Jujio folded her arms arrogantly and said, "Since you've already invited me, I'll consider it." A second later she nodded. "Alright, I've thought about it." Xiangyi. "Really? Then I'll bring the food to the glass greenhouse." Jiang Jujio sounded awkward, but her body was very honest as she took the initiative to share half of the burden with her. It just so happened that the staff had almost rested. Li Jianyu shouted and prepared to shoot the afternoon tea of the two girls. A few minutes later, the netizens received a push notification for the live broadcast. When they clicked on it, what appeared in front of them was a scene that looked like an idol drama. The wind was gentle, the clouds were light, and the distant mountains were beautiful. The sunlight was refracted through the glass, and the flowers and grass grew luxuriantly. On the round table covered with a lace tablecloth, there were delicate biscuits and milk tea. There were a few freesia in a slender porcelain bottle. The two girls were sitting opposite each other, leaning against the recliners and swaying slowly. The white and soft kitten was nestled in Xiangyi's arms while the silly little Shiji was squatting by Jiang Jujio's feet. Jiang Jujio took a bite of the biscuits and milk tea, squinting her eyes in bliss. "I'm taking screenshots like crazy, this is so beautiful. The director is so good, this is my ideal life." Huh? I think I saw Shui coming back. He's at the entrance at the bottom left corner of the screen. Let him go. Let him run away from home. Chapter 410. Ha, are you serious about telling Ingdi to run away from home? My mom is asking me why I'm laughing like a pig. The camera panned to a distant view. The man was dressed in a tailored black suit that accentuated his height and long legs. His tie was loosely tied and a few locks of his hair were hanging down. He looked relaxed and casual. It was as if he was returning home. He locked his gaze on Xiangyi, who was in the glass greenhouse, and strode over with his long legs. The comments in the live stream were instantly flooded. Ah, Shuringdi in a suit can do it. His legs are at least 2 meters long. They're even better than models. He's so immersive I feel like he's going to unbuckle his belt in the next second. Sichuan Bai was watching the livestream in the nanny van. When he saw the comments, a smile appeared on his face. Looking at the comments, it was indeed the status of the main wife. His phone vibrated and he picked it up. Anan's anxious voice came through the receiver. Chuan, I think I've been scammed. Chuan, don't you think it's strange to call him Chuan? It sounds like you're taking advantage of me. And it sounds a little strange. Sichuan Bai interrupted his nonsense. This little colorful guy always said shocking things. He pressed his eyebrows. Get to the point. Someone claimed to be the director of the variety show, National Mass Workout, and said that he wants Sister E to be a flying guest for the next episode. I don't think it's real, but I'm afraid it's true. Sichuan Bai raised his eyebrows. Even he was a little stunned. National Mass Workout was a national variety show that could be said to be the most popular variety show at the moment. It had recorded a total of 2 seasons and the 3rd season was in preparation. Every season the guests invited could be said to be the top or A-listers, or they were the senior big shots with a high status. Sichuan Bai took a deep breath and said, "Send me the contact information." 2 minutes later, Sichuan Bai confirmed that it was really the director of National Mass Workout. Anan was extremely excited on the other end of the phone. Ah, our girl is so capable. Sichuan Bai smiled and said, she's quite capable. In a sense, Xianxi's popularity could be said to have risen from C-list to A-list. However, the industry wouldn't recognize her status if she didn't have any film or television projects. But if the resources could keep up, if he became part of Miss Xianxi's family, he would be able to become an S-lister for free. A glass greenhouse. Shui greeted Jiang Jujio politely. As soon as the suave, gentle and handsome man appeared, Jiang Jujio felt that her friend had changed. For example, her tone was inexplicably soft. You're back. Have a seat. For example, his attitude was inexplicably warm. Here are biscuits, cakes and fruits. Another example was his gaze, which was inexplicably fixed. You look good in this. Shui had intended to go back and change her clothes after greeting him, but at this moment she blinked and threw the thought of changing to the back of her mind. She sat down steadily and said, "Thank you. You're also very beautiful." Jiang Jujio gritted her teeth and thought, why does it feel like an old married couple? Cough, cough. Jiang Jujio coughed hard a few times to get Xianxi's attention. You said you wanted to take a photo, help me. Sure. The 2 girls met and began to study which software and filter were better. A certain best actor quietly raised his hand and unbuttoned the top 2 buttons of his shirt. Whoosh, Xianxi subconsciously looked over, just like the attraction of the sun to sunflowers. Chapter 4:11. His black tie was loose and the top of his snow-white shirt was slightly open, revealing his clean and clear collarbone. His skin seemed to be a mixture of moonlight and snow, fair and delicate. Xianxi seemed to have been bewitched as she couldn't look away for a while. I think this retro filter is quite nice. It gives off the feeling of a Renaissance oil painting. Jiang Jujio murmured, only to realize that Xiangyi was distracted. She looked in the direction of her gaze. Damn. How can my sister be bewitched by a man? Jiang Jujio was puzzled. She was extremely frustrated and poked Xiangyi's arm with her finger. We agreed that you would take photos of me. Xiangyi seemed to have woken up from a dream. Ahem, I'll take photos for you then. Stand over there, the light is better. Jiang Jujio happily went to take photos and even raised her eyebrows at Shui provocatively. Men are bullshit. Sisters are treasures. In the live stream, the netizens were delighted to see this scene. Jealous Sui, disdainful Jujio. Sure, Sui is a man, but his collarbone is even more pronounced than mine. Oh my god, I love men who are relaxed, lazy and abstinent. Sure, Sui, undo a few more buttons. I don't lack this bit of traffic. Xiangyi patiently took photos of Jiang Jujio. After taking dozens of photos, the 2 of them huddled together to discuss which one looked better. Thanks to her narcissistic third brother, Xiangyi's photography skills and aesthetic sense were both on point. Jiang Jujio looked like a noble girl from the Middle Ages. A professional photographer had once taken photos of Jiang Jujio and the composition and angle of the photos were impeccable. However, Jiang Jujio felt that Xiangyi's photos were thousands of times better than those taken by a professional photographer. However, her tone was still arrogant. You're just so. You haven't improved at all after so many years. Her body, however, was very honest. She held Xiangyi's arm with her hand, which was a gesture of intimacy between sisters. Shui saw this scene. He calmly picked up the glass of water and sipped slowly. Swoosh. Xiangyi looked over again like a good-for-nothing. Under the warm light, every part of the man's face was perfect. He raised his snow-white neck, his Adam's apple moving up and down as he swallowed. His pale thin lips were wet with water. He frowned and licked the corner of his lips, seeming to be intentional or unintentional. As if sensing Xiangyi's gaze, he looked up and his thin lips parted into a thin but seductive smile. Jiang Jujio thought, "Damn you, dog of a man." Half of the netizens in the livestream were screaming and the other half were quacking. Covering my mouth can't stop me from screaming like a groundhog. Brother. I can do this. I really can. Goose 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 goose. Jiang Jujio's expression is hilarious. You didn't expect this, did you? The person in front of you is a Grand Slam best actor. Seriously, Shui is fighting for attention, right? Wasn't it? Sure enough, he was a man with a mental age of 10. I laughed so hard that my neighbors within a 10-mile radius would have to rely on hearing aids for the rest of their lives. Jiang Jujio gritted her teeth and thought to herself, my good sister will never fall for such a dog of a man. In the next second, she heard Xiangyi ask gently, do you want to take a photo? Shui blinked and said with an innocent expression, but I'm not wearing any makeup. Will I look ugly in the photos? I'm so envious of Sister E for making you look so good in the photos. Jiang Jujio was speechless. Isn't she just saying, sister, you're so good at makeup, unlike me who doesn't even know how to put on foundation? Chapter 4:12. The staff at the scene had a hard time trying to suppress their laughter, but the netizens watching the livestream didn't have so many scruples. She's so green as soon as she opens her mouth. Oh my god, Shui is so good at variety shows. I can't take it anymore. Look at Xiao Naofu and little Shiji's expressions. I'm rolling around in bed laughing. Only then did the crowd notice that Xiao Naofu had taken a few steps back with a look of disdain, seemingly trying to draw a line between him and Shui. Little Shiji had no idea what was going on and chased after Xiao Naofu while wagging its tail continuously. It was a vivid illustration of what it meant to dislike dogs and cats. However, Xiangyi retorted seriously, no, you look good in all the photos. Shui was slightly stunned, but after a moment he couldn't help but burst into laughter. It seemed that Xiangyi had an inexplicable trust in him at all times. Just that, he suddenly felt a sense of guilt. He stopped teasing her and said in a low voice, I'll leave it to Sister E then. Xiangyi took out her cell phone and began taking photos of him. Jiang Jujio stomped her feet in anger, causing countless viewers to laugh hysterically. What kind of magical scene is this? Other people's scenes were thrilling, and repeatedly testing the edge of death. The scenes on Two Under One Roof were hilarious and so hilarious that their abs would pop out at any moment. This scene, without a doubt, became one of the famous scenes that fans of Two Under One Roof often relived. Xiangyi took dozens of photos of Shui with an impartial attitude. I'll send them to you later. The young girl remembered what Anan said last time. Shui's Weibo account was full of weeds all year round and she couldn't be bothered to open it for business. Hence she asked, do you want to post a 9-grid Weibo post? There should be a lot of people looking forward to it. Shui nodded and said, sure. All of a sudden, the countless Shui sisters in front of the screen fell silent. Most of them didn't have a good impression of Xiangyi at first. After all, Xiangyi's reputation was too poor previously and she had been criticized on the internet for nearly a year. Hence, everyone would be affected and prejudiced against her. But, after Shui joined Two Under One Roof, he really changed. He used to be on set all year round and there was almost no activity except for his work. His fans couldn't catch any traces of his life, and many even pessimistically thought that he didn't care about his fans at all. However, Two Under One Roof allowed everyone to see the relaxed side of Shui, especially his interactions with Xiangyi. Only then did they realize that he also had a childish side. When he was childish, he would even bully kittens. This Shui might not be perfect, but she was very real. Though Xiangyi even urged Shui to open for business. That feeling was really subtle. Sometimes there was no reason to hate someone. Similarly, having a good impression of someone was just as sudden. Shui was typing something on her Weibo account while Jiang Jujio seized the opportunity to grab Xiangyi's wrist. That. The proud and pampered young miss was now stammering, her small fists clenched tightly. Xiangyi, Everyone's curiosity was piqued by her. Jiang Jujio closed her eyes and finally made up her mind to express what she found hard to say. Hey, can you take a selfie with me? Xiangyi's cherry lips opened and she hesitated for a few seconds. Can't I take a few more? Jiang Jujio said resolutely, sure. I can do it. I'm super. Chapter 413. In the live stream, girls who don't mean what they say are so cute. Sister E is really the Terminator of Tsundra. She's so good at curing Tsundra. Jujio can do it, Shui, can you do it or not? I'm sick of answering this question. Shui can't do it. Okay, next question. The two girls chose various filters and decorations to take a selfie. The netizens exclaimed that it was so realistic that it was simply a replica of the selfies they took with their sisters. At the same time, Shui posted on Weibo. The caption was simple, but it was enough to make one's imagination run wild. Shui, Sister E took it. The Shui sisters were a little upset when they saw the text, but after seeing the picture they screamed. The man in the picture was wearing a white shirt and a black suit. His tie was loose and his collar was open. His gaze was deep and doting and he looked lazy. He was a refined scum who was abstinent and passionate. The number of comments instantly exceeded 10,000. He's like a boyfriend. He's finally open for business. I'm covering my mouth and crying. Thank you, Sister E. I announce that Sister E is the prettiest sister in the world. Shui put away his cell phone, too embarrassed to continue teasing Xiangyi, so he got ready to go back and change his clothes. The corner of his shirt was suddenly tugged. He turned around and met her bright eyes. Sister E. Do you want to take a selfie? Xiangyi asked. There was a trace of surprise in the depths of Shui's eyes, as if he didn't expect that Xiangyi would take the initiative to ask him for a selfie. He smiled and said, yes. Little did he know that although he didn't do anything this time in Jiang Jujio's eyes, he was playing hard to get and retreating in order to advance. I'm so angry. Due to the height difference between the two of them, Xiangyi raised her cell phone high, but before she could press the camera button, it landed in a pair of bony hands. The man's magnetic voice sounded in her ear. Let me do it. Xiangyi. Seeing this scene, Jiang Jujio began to stomp her feet again. Jujio, why do you have a problem with the floor? Fu Jian yawned and appeared beside Jiang Jujio while his hair was messy. No one woke him up. He had been taking an afternoon nap until now. Fu Jian seriously suspected that he had been forgotten by the production team. Jiang Jujio was infuriated. I'm so angry. Ignore me. Fu Jian replied, oh. With one hand in his pocket, Fu Jian sauntered over to Xiangyi and Shui. Shamelessly, he leaned over and said, Senior Sure, are you guys taking a selfie? Count me in. Let's activate a pig head special effect. Shui smiled and the look in her eyes was very kind. The netizens in the livestream were laughing so hard that they were almost out of breath. Fu Jian. What a straight man. Suizi, you look like AF asterisk King Pig. F asterisk CK, why is Fu Jian so funny? I can't control myself as soon as he appears. Fu Jian's manager almost fainted when he saw this scene through the live stream. Bro. I told you to clear your name. Why are you ruining your own image? I told you to talk less, do more and pay attention to your image. Have you forgotten all about it? Your brain is a good thing. Forget it if you don't use it well. You can't have not used it even once after more than 20 years, can you? The manager drank some oral liquid and opened the pop-up comments while trembling. He was already prepared for Fu Jian to be criticized by the netizens until he quit the entertainment industry. Whoosh. The screen was filled with ha-ha comments that were so dazzling that it hurt the manager's eyes. The manager was speechless. Chapter 414. 1 minute, 2 minutes. The expected flood of negative comments didn't appear. On the contrary, the netizens' comments were all positive. Ha! Why can you send a voice message? Fu Jian is quite suitable to be a comedian. Actually, he's funny. His Highness turns out to be a silly boy in real life. I'm done. To be honest, Fu Jian has been enjoying the benefits of being a crown prince for the past 2 years and I've long been tired of him. He really made the right choice to take on 2 under one roof. His agent was too far-sighted. Getting rid of the shackles of being a crown prince is the way to long-term development. Seeing this, the manager's eyes were in a trance. Great foresight? What does that have to do with me? The reason why he gave Fu Jian this job was really just to clear his name. Is this a blind cat that chanced upon a dead mouse? It's so dark that it's naturally clear. Next, Fu Jian followed Xianxia to Little Rabbit Farm. He completely let himself go and revealed his talkative personality. He could even talk to cows for a long time while milking cows. When he was done, he suddenly realized, wait a minute, aren't I here to clear my name? He recalled his manager's earnest instructions and all sorts of knowledge about setting up a character. It's over, why can't this knowledge enter my mind? Zhang Jujie was still sulking and kicking pebbles nonchalantly. Seeing his expression, she said in disdain, Hey, are you retarded? Fu Jian said with a sullen expression, My fans are definitely going to stop following me. Zhang Jujie expressed her doubts. You actually have fans? Am I living in an illusory world and everything is fake? Actually, I don't have a single fan. Seeing that he was about to break down, Zhang Jujie said awkwardly, Okay, you're actually not too bad looking. It should be normal for you to have a few fans. After all, an ordinary person like me has hundreds of thousands of fans on foreign social media platforms. The netizens were speechless. Fu Jian, ordinary Zhang Jujie? Xianxia came over with a basket of duck eggs and was about to go back to marinate them when she saw that Fu Jian was not in a good mood. She asked gently, Fu Jian, are you okay? Zhang Jujie secretly pointed at Fu Jian and then at her head, hinting to her that there was something wrong with his head. Xianxia, Fu Jian sat down on the ground and hugged his knees. He exuded a dejected aura. You don't understand. They all like me because of a character. If they find out that I'm not that character, no one will like me anymore. Zhang Jujie said, What nonsense are you spouting? So you're an actress? I thought you were a crosstalk artist. Fu Jian. His heart felt as if it had been stabbed by a knife. Zhang Jujie said, Since they like you because of one role, wouldn't they like you 10 times more if you play 10 roles? Don't tell me you don't have a script to act in? Fu Jian. One stab after another. While the netizens were laughing, Fu Jian's fans felt sorry for him. They wanted to comfort him but they didn't know where to start. As Fu Jian said, they did like him because of the crown prince. At this moment, Xianxi's calm and indifferent voice sounded. You're the one who gives life to the characters. The characters are liked because of you. Fu Jian, why do you have to act? Chapter 4:15. Bang. Bang bang. Every word she said was like a drum that struck Fu Jian's heart hard. The girl's eyes were clear and her tone was firm. Every word she said gave him a strong conviction. You are you, Fu Jian fell into deep thought. In front of the screen, Fu Jian's fans also came back to their senses. Yeah. The character design of the crown prince wasn't very likable. It was Fu Jian's acting that shaped the soul of the crown prince. They cried for him, rejoiced for him, got angry for him and felt aggrieved for him. It has always been the actor who brings the character to life. Xianxia said seriously, You're the crown prince but you're also the actor Fu Jian. The fans. Ah, she's so eloquent. Xianxia is really a girl with a strong sense of self-awareness. That's rare. Sister E, please come out with a book as soon as possible. If you're so eloquent, say more. The confusion in Fu Jian's eyes slowly dissipated at this moment. All along, the team had been asking him to maintain his persona and maintain his popularity. He was also very anxious and felt that he was limited by the character of the crown prince and couldn't get out of it no matter what. In the past 2 years he had acted in a few dramas, but compared to the other roles they didn't seem that outstanding. The pressure from the outside world made Fu Jian more and more anxious. Am I not good enough? Am I really at the peak of my career? Am I only able to keep that one classic role for the rest of my life? At the most extreme moment he even developed feelings of self-loathing. Fu Jian even agreed with what others said, that he was lucky and that the role made him who he was. However, Xianxi's words made him sober up. Fu Jian was so touched that tears welled up in his eyes. Sister Yi, you're so nice. You're my life mentor and guiding light. He wanted to hold Xiangyi's hand, but Jiang Jiujiu smacked it away mercilessly. Push, don't try to take advantage of Yi. Fu Jian sniffled and asked sincerely, Sister Yi, do you have anything else to say to me? What Xiangyi said must be true and wise. He was going to write everything down in a small notebook. The next second, Xiangyi asked calmly, when you leave, do you want to take a jar of salted duck eggs with you? Fu Jian, ? The duck eggs this time are big and they are all double yolk eggs. After marinating, the golden yolk will drip with oil when poked. Fu Jian? You don't like it? What about bringing a jar of kimchi? I've made cabbage, radish and beans. I've also made soy sauce and chili sauce. There are also many kinds of jam. You can take your time to choose. To the production team, Fu Jian and the others were guests. But to Xiangyi they were all guests. How could she leave empty-handed? After a moment of silence, Fu Jian suddenly sobbed and exclaimed miserably, Xiangyi. Woo-woo, I also want to unilaterally announce that you are my biological sister from a different mother. Jiang Jiujiu exclaimed, get lost, you plagiarized my poem. Fu Jian seemed to be on steroids as he cleaned the house, chopped firewood and fed the chickens. He couldn't stop at all. Sitting on the swing, Jiang Jiujiu was as angry as a blowfish as she stared at Xiangyi, who was pickling salted duck eggs in the courtyard, as well as Shui who was assisting her. Why aren't you coaxing me? Atrocious. She bit her lip, jumped off the swing, walked towards Xiangyi and stood still. I'm angry. I'm super angry. I'll give you a chance to coax me. I won't wait until it's too late. Chapter 416. The duck egg in Xiangyi's hand fell into the mud mixed with salt water and yellow soil, causing a few drops of mud to splatter. Huh. Why are you angry? Jiang Jiujiu clenched her fists tightly. You idiot. It turns out that in this world what's more difficult than reading and understanding is a girl's heart. The pop-up comments in the livestream were filled with joy. Sister E, as expected of you. You're a straight woman. Ha, Sister E, you're angry at Jiujiu. Ijo is so sweet. I'm going to eat it. All of a sudden the man's low laughter fell into her ears. He said in a gentle and teasing tone, isn't our Sister E very good at coaxing people? Xiangyi seemed to be in a dilemma. She only knew how to give out candy, but her hands were so dirty. How could she take it? Looking at Shui's clean hands, she suddenly had an idea and nudged Shui with her elbow. Help me get the things in my left pocket. Shui readily took out a candy and handed it to Jiang Jiujiu. Here, Miss Jiang, have a candy. Not only was Jiang Jiujiu not comforted, she was so infuriated that she wanted to vomit blood. Seeing that Jiang Jiujiu was about to fly into a rage, Xiangyi successfully appeased her. I have a gift for you. Jiang Jiujiu thought. Oh. After marinating the salted duck egg, Xiangyi washed her hands and then took out a small box with a plain packaging. Feeling a little embarrassed, she said, sorry, your birthday has already passed, can this be a gift to make up for it? Jiang Jiujiu raised her chin arrogantly and said, it depends on my mood. She opened the box and a beautiful necklace came into view. The chain was slender and exquisite, and the red drop-shaped pendant was gorgeous and dazzling. The pop-up comments in the livestream sneered at the necklace. Doesn't the vase fairy claim to be fair, rich and beautiful? She's giving a crystal as a gift? It's beautiful, but the crystal is too cheap. Everyone knows that crystals are worthless. Jiang Jiujiu treats her like a good sister, but what about her? She's fooling her like a fool. As soon as the haters started criticizing, they heard Jiang Jiujiu's surprised voice. Pigeon's blood ruby? Did you dig it out from your mine? Xiangyi nodded. Yes, this is the one with the best transparency, color and cutting quality. In an instant, someone came out in the bullet screen to explain frowny face Pigeon's blood ruby is an extremely pure ruby with a hint of indistinct blue. Its global production isn't high. Every one of them is worth a fortune. There were also people who began to recognize each other from afar. Gem mine? Sister E, I'm your long-lost sister. I'm really rich, I'm kneeling. Mommy, do you think my kneeling posture is standard? The trolls. This King shiny thing wasn't a crystal, but a pigeon's blood ruby. Do you like it? Xiangyi asked cautiously. Jiang Jujio looked up at the sky with fireworks in her heart. However, she said arrogantly, "It's all right, it's passable." After waiting for a few seconds, Jiang Jujio saw that Xianxia was still not moving. She puffed up her cheeks and said, "Help me put it on. I can't reach it." Xianxia smiled and helped her put on the necklace. The pendant hung in the middle of her collarbone, making her skin look exceptionally fair. Jiang Jujio glanced at Shui smugly as if to say, "I have a gift but you don't." To her surprise, in the next instant, Shui sighed softly. He had a firm grasp of the pitiful, innocent and pure tone of a white lotus flower. "Other children have gifts, when will I get one?" Chapter 417. The fragrance of the tea that wafted over made Jiang Jujio confused. Does this dog grow green tea at home? Why would Sister E like such a dog? I can't figure it out, I really can't figure it out. Xianxia blinked and remembered that there was a ruby in the jewelry cabinet. Although it was not as high quality as the one she gave Jiang Jujio, it was much better than the one she gave Jiang Jujio. It was the size of a baby's fist and it was glowing. I'll give it to him secretly at night, lest others misunderstand and affect Shui's reputation. In the blink of an eye, it was dinner time. There was porridge, side dishes, omelets and salted duck eggs from Little Rabbit Farm. Fu Jian said, that's good. I'll be able to satisfy my appetite without getting fat." He was a male artist who had to maintain his figure, and the sumptuous lunch he had at noon was too much for him to take. "I should be able to bear with it at night, right?" Fu Jian picked up an omelette and started chewing. The ingredients for the omelette were the eggs laid by Xianxia's chickens, which Fu Jian had collected. He then mixed them with flour and a few vegetables to form a thin omelette. He also added some pepper to make it taste better. The pale yellow omelette was still warm and it was decorated with chopped vegetables. It was so thin that it was almost transparent. The original omelette was rich in aroma, and it could also be rolled in chili oil according to one's taste. The fresh and spicy taste would fill one's taste buds. Fu Jian's pupils dilated in disbelief. What kind of immortal is Sister E? How can she make an omelette taste so good? Hence, Fu Jian, who had been saying that there was no possibility of him gaining weight, ate a biscuit in a few bites. Within a short period of time he had devoured 8 biscuits like a whirlwind. Xianxia was dumbfounded. Is a male artist's appetite that big? In comparison, Shui ate too little. Is she deliberately eating less for the sake of being on camera? In Xianxia's mind, she imagined the pitiful Shui going to work even though she was hungry. The expression on her fair and clean face became more and more solemn. She went into the kitchen and deftly spread out the pancakes. She picked up 2 pancakes for Shui. Shui was puzzled. Xianxia pulled a long face. "More. If you get any thinner you'll look like a paper person." Her original intention was to remind Shui that being too skinny was actually not good looking, but Shui misunderstood and thought that she was despising her. Not in good shape? The man raised his eyebrows and decided to put fitness on the agenda to make his abdominal muscles more obvious. Dinner ended with Fu Jian burping. After the meal, Fu Jian lamented, "I can't go on like this. I'm going to gain 3 pounds every meal." He then changed into his sportswear and went for a run. Jiang Jujio wasn't considered a guest and she didn't care about her image either. Hence, she openly swiped her cell phone in the living room. After returning to China, she found out that Xianxia actually had a live broadcast variety show, but she didn't have the time to watch it. At this time, she wanted to catch up on the previous broadcast, but she accidentally clicked on today's live broadcast. The live broadcast room was divided into the main one and the personal one. Without any hesitation, Jiang Jujio chose Xianxia's personal live broadcast room. The pop-up comments were automatically turned on and most of them were praising her. Jiang Jujio, why are these people so good at bragging? Some viewers discovered that Jiang Jujio was watching the live broadcast and the comments were flooding in quickly. "Miss, is the violin difficult to learn? Do you know that you're very ill-mannered? So what if you're rich? I'm curious why you're friends with Xianxia. What's so good about her? I don't get it." Chapter 418. Don't you think Xianxia is too pretentious? It must be tiring to get along with such a person. The comments were all over the screen, making her dizzy. Jiang Jujio skipped over all the comments that were criticizing her and accurately captured the comments that were defaming Xianxia. Are these people full of themselves? Yi is so cute, why is she being defamed? Zhang Jujio exclaimed angrily. You guys are heartless. What right do you have to criticize Yi? When the haters realized that Zhang Jujio had really seen the comments, they became even more vicious. I still like girls like Zhang Jujio who are genuine. Xianxia is too pretentious. Isn't she tired of pretending to be perfect every day? Miss Blink when you're threatened. You weren't like this when you first arrived. Why are you defending Xianxia now? At the end of the day, the Vase Fairy is just a variety show star. Besides, apart from Two Under One Roof, she doesn't have any other decent variety show resources, let alone a representative work. Although I admit that Xianxia is a little popular now, it's just a castle in the air. Without any works, her popularity is like a plate of sand that can be blown away by the wind. How can Two Under One Roof continue to be live-streamed? When this variety show ends, she'll definitely be ruined. Zhang Jujio looked at the comments in disbelief. Has he always been criticized like this? Why is there so much malice between people on the internet? She belatedly realized that there was something wrong with Qin Wanyan's words. In the past year, she rarely contacted Xianxia and only met her for a short while at the Xiang family's old residence. At that time, Qin Wanyan was also present and pestered her to add her contact number. Later on, Qin Wanyan would send her messages from time to time, asking about her well-being and showing her concern. Those words gave Zhang Jujio, who was far away in a foreign country, a warm comfort. Hence, she once regarded Qin Wanyan as a friend. After returning to China, Qin Wanyan had asked her out for a meal. During the meal, Qin Wanyan mentioned that Xianxia's personality had changed drastically. Xianxia was cold-blooded and heartless to her friends. She was in love and only had men in her eyes. She didn't even treat her sisters as friends. She even complained that she had accidentally offended Xianxia, and Xianxia wanted to kill her. Now her company was gone, her career was ruined, her fans had left her, and her acting career was coming to an end. Hence, Qin Wanyan wanted Zhang Jujio to plead on her behalf and ask Xianxia to let her off. Zhang Jujio naturally wouldn't believe her completely, but she was more or less affected. When she first arrived, her attitude towards Xianxia wasn't very good. Zhang Jujio felt extremely guilty when she thought about how she had caused Xianxia to be scolded because of her attitude. Just then his phone vibrated. It was a message from Qin Wanyan. First, it was a weather forecast that reminded her that the temperature would drop tomorrow. She then said, I'm so envious. Xianxia treats you like a good sister, unlike me. I don't know how I offended her. That's why I ended up in this state. Zhang Jujio squinted and thought about how Shui looked in the afternoon. She gritted her teeth and typed rapidly. She replied, Xianxia won't bully others. You said that she bullied you? He must have. You deserve it. Qin Wanyan, who was on the other end of the screen, was speechless. Zhang Jujio raised her little face and said fiercely to the camera. Xianxia is not like what you guys are saying. She's the best and most gentle girl in the world. You guys keep spouting nonsense. I'll make you bald. Chapter 419. Zhang Yi said in a menacing tone. There were no cameramen in the living room at this moment, and there were only fixed camera positions. In the director's room, Li Jinyu and the others were eating omelets and side dishes when they heard Zhang Jujio's words. Everyone, huh? She's a little cute. In the live stream, the netizens were also a little surprised as they didn't expect Zhang Jujio to say such a thing. You want me to make you bald? That's not necessary. I'm getting involved, my scalp is starting to hurt. Even if you want to make me bald, you have to make me bald. Everyone look at your heads, do you have any hair left? Dog head, dog head. All of a sudden the comment section was filled with the silly netizens insulting each other. However, there were still some people who refused to give up. The angrier Zhang Jujio was, the more smug they were. They were sarcastic and sarcastic. They would say whatever they could to infuriate her the most. Zhang Jujio clenched her fists tightly, wishing she could go online and beat those bastards up. A clear and gentle voice saved Zhang Jujio's bad mood in time. Jujio, can I wear these pajamas? It was Yi. That realization made Zhang Jujio calm down. She turned around and saw that Xianxia had picked up two pajamas, one of which was pink and white with rabbit ears and the other was creamy yellow with bear ears. Xianxia remembered everything she said casually. Zhang Jujio suddenly felt less angry. What's the point of being calculative with fools? They're already very pitiful for being brainless. It's all right. Despite saying that, Jiang Jujio quickly went to take a shower and then changed into the pajamas with bare ears. Before going to the living room, she paused in her tracks and turned back to pick up her violin case. Beside the bookshelf, Xianxia was flipping through a book on archery. When she saw Jiang Jujio coming out with a violin, she smiled and asked, "What song do you want to play?" Jiang Jujio corrected her, "What song should we play?" With a serious expression she asked, "Can we play together?" Of course, Xianxia wouldn't disagree with such a small request from her best friend. "Sure, shall we go to the violin room then?" All of a sudden the pop-up comments were full of mockery. "Please, she's the chief of Orpheus. Are you worthy? A student of folk music shouldn't embarrass herself in front of a student of classical music." Wasn't Jiang Jujio defending Xianxia just now? Why did she change her mind again? Asking Xianxia to perform with her is like asking the clouds in the sky and the mud on the ground. There was no camera installed in the piano room, so Li Jinyu hurriedly asked the cameraman to go over. "Wan Qing, you're that assured? Aren't you afraid that Xianxia will screw up?" Li Jinyu said casually, "I admit that I'm gambling, but I think Sister Yi will let me win." He did not believe in himself, but he believed in Wan Qing. Wan Qing raised her eyebrows. She did not say anything, but her gaze was fixed on the screen. In the piano room, the members of the Xiang family all knew one or two musical instruments. There was a wide variety of musical instruments in the zither room. In addition to the perennial Western instruments, there were also zither, flutes, and other traditional instruments. Seeing Xianxia wandering around the traditional instruments, the spicy tutu girls were worried for her. However, they saw her skimming past the traditional instruments and finally choosing a cello. It's not a 3-string or an electric guitar, but a cello? Someone mocked. "Come on, this is a cello. How dare she choose it just because she knows how to play it?" However, the moment the girl sat down and picked up the bow, her aura seemed to have suddenly changed. Chapter 420. She lowered her eyes and her long eyelashes cast a faint shadow on her fair face. Her hand that was holding the bow was slender and soft. Her knuckles were slightly protruding, and her pale blue veins were clearly visible. She was low-key, not ostentatious, but elegant and calm. Even though she was wearing cute bunny ears pajamas, she looked like she was holding a cello recital in a gorgeous gown. It had been a long time since she touched the cello. Xianxia first tried to play it and then tuned it unhurriedly. Someone retorted, "Is there something wrong with you? What are you delaying for? If you know how to play it, just admit it. What's the point of pretending?" At this moment, a golden pop-up comment appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The golden pop-up comment was a privilege given to the Hall of Fame streamers by the Xianxia app. Generally, those who could enter the Hall of Fame were all famous streamers on the Xianxia app. The person who posted the comment was Little Nocturne, a streamer with 1 million fans in the music section. Little Nocturne. She didn't use any tuner or software to help her, nor did she ask Jiang Jujio to play a standard note for her. If she's not pretending, she must have an absolute sense of sound, right? The golden pop-up comment appeared on the screen for 15 seconds before disappearing, enough for countless netizens to see it clearly. Wow. She's a living Nocturne. Nocturne, when are you going to live stream? I want to hear you play the piano. Reflect on how long you haven't live streamed. Why are you watching someone else's live stream? Absolute sense of sound? Sounds impressive. Does the vase fairy actually have such a thing? Little Nocturne, who was in front of the screen, was also a little uncertain. Absolute sense of sound referred to the ability to distinguish the specific pitch of a sound without any reference pitch. This included the sound of rain, thunder, and even the sound of a door opening in nature. In the ears of people with absolute sense of sound, these sounds were like the melodies in a staff. There was no need for deliberate practice. They were born with it. It was not an exaggeration to say that it was a 1 in a million talent. Even the Orpheus Orchestra that Jiang Jujio was in, which had gathered the top young performers from all over the world. Not everyone had an absolute sense of sound. However, when Xianxia finished tuning, Little Nocturne's eyes lit up in front of the screen. She really had it. There was no lack of people who knew music in the livestream. "I'm going to kneel down to Sister E. This tone is even more accurate than mine with a tuner. Other things aside, this talent alone is enough to beat all the keyboard warriors here. Go to sleep with your bathwater, okay? No wonder the Xianxia and electric guitar are so awesome. Wu Xiangyi, how is this a gift from the heavens? It's like the heavens are chasing after us to feed us. Xiangyi gestured to Jiang Jiujiu to indicate that she was okay. Jiang Jiujiu nodded, and in the next second, the melodious sound of the violin instantly caught everyone's ears. The chief violinist of the Orpheus Orchestra definitely lived up to his name. Even those who didn't know much about music could feel that Jiang Jiujiu's playing was particularly pleasant. A golden bullet screen appeared on the screen of the live broadcast room. Little Nocturne. Such terrifying strength. In reality, Little Nocturne was also a student of a top music academy abroad and was surrounded by many big shots. Hence he could recognize how strong Jiang Jiujiu was. A moment later, the clear and beautiful sound of the violin was mixed with the deep and vigorous sound of the cello. It was the best accompaniment in the textbook, but it instantly made Little Nocturne's scalp turn numb. Chapter 421. It was just like in the vast sea of people. Some people were born with a spotlight that was dazzling and eye-catching. At this moment, the sound of the cello gave off that feeling. It was clearly a foil, but it became an existence that couldn't be ignored. How many instruments does she know? Little Nocturne muttered. For most of the netizens watching the live stream, although they didn't have as sharp a hearing as Little Nocturne and didn't know much about the techniques of playing instruments, they all had the same feeling. This ensemble is so nice. Unfortunately, I'm uncultured. I can go anywhere with the word f*ck. Ah, Xiangyi can even play the cello. Excellent. Yes, it's nice. For the professionals, it was even more shocking. The song that Jiang Jiujiu played was called Prelude to Spring. The rhythm was cheerful and it was full of the vigorous vibe of early spring. Correspondingly, it was also extremely difficult and had high requirements for the performer's skills. They weren't surprised that Jiang Jiujiu could reach such a level. Poor Xiangyi. She was a student of traditional folk music, but she actually played the cello so well too? Many people had complicated feelings. They originally thought that Xiangyi was only good at folk music, but they didn't expect her to be equally good at Western instruments. This was simply a heavenly performance at the level of cheating. Besides, she actually went to the entertainment industry instead of using her impressive talent and abilities. What's she up to? How can the professional music students endure that? The song gradually reached the climax, and at this moment Jiang Jiujiu suddenly showed off a relaxed series of bowing moves that were ingenious and full of vitality. Immediately afterwards, she didn't play according to the original melody and instead improvised. Xiangyi looked up and met her gaze calmly in the air. Without saying anything, she changed the finger movements of her left hand while her right hand danced along with Jiang Jiujiu's melody. There were almost no pauses and she perfectly matched Jiang Jiujiu's improvisation. Little Nocturne, : The golden pop-up comments appeared again with a series of exclamation marks, which was enough to show Little Nocturne's excitement. He immediately jumped up from the sofa and turned on the livestream device that was fixed to the tripod. While listening to Xiangyi and Jiang Jiujiu's improvisation, his slender and fair fingers landed on the black and white keys. The impromptu performance of the two became a trio. Little Nocturne's fans received the notification and clicked on it with great interest. But they were immediately stunned. In the past, Little Nocturne would try his best not to show his face in the live stream, or he would use the special effects of the live streaming software to cover his face with a cartoon avatar. But today, for some reason, his face was shown. In the camera was a boy with a thin figure and snow-white skin. The side of his face was delicate and smooth, like a handsome young man who had walked out of a manga. The most eye-catching part was his hands. His fingers were long and slender with distinct joints. They were so white that they were almost transparent, but they were wrapped around an old red rope. Following his movements, white and red intertwined as if it had a bewitching power. The fans. Where did this little angel come from? Debut online. Oh my god, Nocturne's looks are so good that she can kill a lot of idols in the country. Her hands, her face, her piano skills. Faster thief. Why does such a beautiful young man have nothing to do with me? After a wave of flattery from the fans, they realized that the serenade seemed to be an accompaniment for someone. Chapter 422. Most of the fans of Little Nocturne were music lovers, so they could easily distinguish the different sounds of the three instruments: piano, violin, and cello. When put together, they were like a small symphony orchestra. The violin's improvisation was spontaneous and natural. The The cello's coordination was just right. The piano's addition enriched the timbre and pushed the climax of the ensemble to the peak like the icing on the cake. In the piano room, Jiang Jujio closed her eyes and immersed herself in the performance. Soon she ended the improvisation and skillfully transitioned to the last movement of Prelude to Spring. The light and nimble music was infused with the beautiful aura of spring, and it slowly and gently hit the softest corner of one's heart. When the last note fell, the violin, cello, and piano ended the piece neatly. It was as if someone had pressed the mute button. Everything was silent. The pop-up comments seemed to have been cleared too. However, a few seconds later the screen was flooded with comments. Did Nua make me up to make up the numbers? Oh my god. Did you really not rehearse? Did you just improvise? I've been learning the zither for 3 years and I still can't remember the score even when I play a new piece from time to time. Are these two girls human notation machines? The long-awaited ensemble could be said to be hearty. Jiang Jujio panted slightly and looked at Xianxia. Xianxia was also staring at her and applauding with smiling eyes. You're so impressive. Jiang Jujio suddenly felt a lump in her throat. As a talented child, she had already taken a shortcut compared to ordinary people when it came to learning the zither. However, even geniuses had to work hard to defeat other geniuses. After learning the zither for more than 10 years, it was normal for her fingers to develop calluses and blood blisters. Even her parents and teachers would reprimand her. Xianxia was different. She would always encourage her gently. You're not bad. Jiang Jujio said proudly, you must have not played for a long time. Your skills are far worse than before. I'm too busy. Excuses. They're all excuses. She was clearly more talented than Jiang Jujio, but she insisted on cooking. Jiang Jujio was exasperated with her. Do you want to consider joining Orpheus? When the contrarians heard this, they were amused. Is the Orpheus Orchestra a place you can go whenever you want? Okay, I admit that she can play the cello, but does Orpheus want her? Don't insult the Orpheus Orchestra. That is the sacred ground in the hearts of young performers. It's not something someone like the vase fairy can tarnish. There was a lot of discussion in the bullet screen, but in reality Xianxi's expression was very calm. She shook her head and said, Jujio, I want to do what I like. Fame and fortune, applause and slander she did not need and did not care. Because he had lost everything before, he knew what was the most precious. Jiang Jujio pursed her lips, feeling a little upset, but she was determined to respect Xianxi's choice. She pushed Xianxia out of the piano room. You go out first. I want to be alone for a while. Xianxia was a little bewildered, but she still nodded and did as she was told. The door was closed and the soundproofing of the piano room was excellent. Jiang Jujio was fearless as she moved her face closer to the cameraman's lens. Orpheus invited Yi when she was 15 years old. She doesn't need her eyes, but she can donate them to those in need. My sister is just that outstanding. I'm going to piss you off. Chapter 423. In the livestream, the netizens were stunned at first, but they immediately reacted. Is Jiang Jujio insulting the haters? Today's cuteness is a critical hit. What kind of peerless cutie is this? Wow, Missy is really just being arrogant on the surface, but she's actually very protective of Sister E. I'm in love with her. When can I have such a sisterly relationship? Our 8-person dormitory is going to debut in a palace drama. The amount of information in Jiang Jujio's words also shocked the netizens. She was invited by the Orpheus Orchestra at the age of 15? Doesn't that mean that Xianxia is just as capable as Jiang Jujio in music? Nua, when you created Sister E, you must have meticulously crafted her, given her a free cheat code, maxed out her talent, and even created a few immortal brothers for her, right? Outside the door. After Xianxia was pushed out, she happened to see Shui, who was by the French window. Dressed in cotton sportswear, the man was reluctantly rubbing Xiao Naofu, who was unwilling to be rubbed by him. The reason was none other than the fact that there were no more material. Li Jinyu was now beginning to despise Shui. Without Sister E around, he felt that he was simply too boring. He was either reading a script or a book, which was often mistaken for still images. In desperation, the production team had no choice but to bring Xiao Naofu and little Shiji over so that the audience could at least enjoy the cat. Xiao Naofu and Shui could be said to be disgusted with each other. Shui rubbed Xiao Naofu casually, obviously distracted. Xiao Naofu stuck its buttocks out at him and used its body movements to express its disdain for him. Little Shiji, on the other hand, was docile and obediently nestled beside Shui's feet, dozing off in a daze. Hearing the familiar footsteps, Xiao Naofu broke free from Shui mercilessly and scurried towards Xiangyi. Xiangyi squatted down and caught it. Xiao Naofu rubbed itself against Xiangyi's chest affectionately and even pressed itself against her cheek in a bid to kiss her. Boom! Xiangyi kissed its forehead and asked softly, "Are you hungry? Do you want some milk powder?" Xiao Naofu glanced at Shui, wagged its tail ostentatiously and let out a cute meow. See, this stupid woman still loves this hoo-hoo the most. Shui clicked her tongue and reached for her pocket out of habit. However, she quickly realized that he had quit smoking. He pressed the space between his eyebrows, feeling slightly irritated. Suddenly, a transparent and exquisite candy jar appeared in front of him. It was filled with lollipops. Here, fruit-flavored. The girl had a good voice. It was warm and soft but not overly sweet. Shui thanked her and watched as she proceeded to make some goat milk powder for Xiao Naofu and little Shiji. Hugging the candy jar, he smiled happily and seductively. He raised his eyebrows at Xiao Naofu and lazily provoked, "Kitty, what should I do? I have candy but you don't." Xiao Naofu let out a ferocious roar. Meow. In the live stream, this is the kind of couple that men should love. He's really giving out candy. Untimely sweetness is crying. That last syllable of yo is really asking for a beating, huh? In the director's office, Li Jianyu stared at Shui in disdain with a look of disdain. Look, if Sister E doesn't show up, it's just a still screen. As soon as Sister E shows up, he's a horny dog. Just when he thought that Shui was horny enough, he slowly picked up the kitten and asked with a chuckle, "Do you want a kiss, kitty?" Xiao Naofu shuddered with horror in its eyes. "Damn it, don't come over, all stupid woman, come and save me." Chapter 424. It tried its best to push Shui away with its furry paws, its resistance written all over its body. However, Shui deliberately misinterpreted its meaning. "You want a kiss? You're so clingy," Xiao Naofu barked angrily. Woof woof woof. A certain best actor who had easily angered the kitten into barking, blinked his long eyelashes and teased, "You don't want it? You're such a hypocritical kitten. Do you want a kiss on the face or?" He deliberately tapped Xiao Naofu's mouth with his slender and fair finger. Xiao Naofu trembled even more violently and its fur stood on end. Would I be embarrassed to bully Sister E? Would I bully a kitten? Of course, I wouldn't. The man's pale and thin lips were perfectly curved. Perhaps because he had just drunk some water, they were moist and glossy. He leaned over and inched closer to the soft kitten bit by bit as if he was in slow motion in a movie. I don't know who to be envious of. God, let me have Xiao Naofu's soul. Ha, Xiao Naofu really doesn't know how lucky he is. Wait, didn't Sister E kiss Xiao Naofu just now? If Shui kisses it, wouldn't that be equivalent to indirectly kissing Sister E? Damn. Damn. Xiao Naofu was about to be kissed by him. Woof. Little Shiji bit Shui's pants fiercely and hostilely. Shui paused and glanced at the little Shiba Inu on the floor. Little Shiji was instinctively a little afraid of him, but its courage was commendable. Woof woof woof. Shui seemed to be deep in thought and let go of Xiao Naofu with a smirk. Xiao Naofu scurried away so quickly that it left after images. It nestled at the kitchen door and stared in Shui's direction vigilantly. Little Shiji chased after it and lay down beside Xiao Naofu, licking its fur to appease it. At this moment, Xiangyi came out with 2 bowls of goat milk powder and asked in bewilderment, "Why are you guys here?" Xiao Naofu looked up aggrievedly and complained with its chubby face. "Meow meow. Stupid woman, dog-like men are bad." Xiangyi placed the bowl on the ground and coaxed it for a while before walking towards Shui. "Xiao Naofu," she said helplessly. Shui chuckled. "I was just teasing it. The production crew? The netizens? Are you human? You're so calm and composed, you're worse than little Shiji." Xiangyi saw that the script from last time was still on the coffee table in front of him. She asked curiously, "Haven't you thought about it yet?" Shui pondered for a moment and said, "Actually, I wanted to ask you if you're interested in acting in a movie." Xiangyi was stunned. Huh. The Deshio to Shiji to Zian to E to. Best to be. Tutu to act to Veet. She's just a variety show star. She doesn't have any representative works, yet she wants to reach the top in a single bound? Men are indeed creatures who think with their lower bodies. They have no bottom line when it comes to young and beautiful women. Hey, that's not how resources should be given. Xianxi's acting skills in the TV series previously shocked me so much that I still have lingering fears. Don't worry, you can take your time to think about it. At most he wouldn't take on the role. It was inevitable that there would be regrets in life. Shui was quite open-minded about such matters. Recalling Si Chuanbai's call just now, he said, "By the way, Brother Si wants me to tell you that you have to film a variety show in the next 2 days." Coincidentally, the official Weibo account of National Mass Workout happened to announce the news almost at the same time as Shui. Chapter 425. Quanmin Lai Sports v. Xiangyi v Sister E, nice to meet you. It was a simple text that was much more straightforward and clear than a long speech. The comments section below the post exploded. Is Sister E a guest? What the heck? They actually invited Vase Fairy? Are you serious? Doesn't National Sports only invite A-listers or big shots? Everyone was discussing fervently. When the news spread to the livestream, it immediately caused an uproar. It's actually National Sports? Who dares to say that Xiangyi has no resources? No. This is the most popular variety show in the country with the highest viewership ratings. Only then did everyone realize how terrifying Xiangyi's popularity was. She could be considered the fastest rising female celebrity of the year. The spicy Tutu fans were emboldened and quickly retaliated. Take away our Sister E, don't cue us. No way, right? No one really believes that Sister E doesn't have resources, right? Everyone, you can look forward to Xiangyi's performance on National Sports. Our Xiangyi is awesome. No one dared to make any more comments except for a few haters who were still talking about variety shows, but no one cared anymore. Although variety shows were not a good term, the popularity brought about by variety shows was obvious to all. In a sense, variety shows attracted more fans than film and television productions. Many actors were envious of the popularity of variety shows, but they were also wary of going on variety shows. Firstly, they were afraid that their character settings would be violated. Secondly, they were afraid that after their image was solidified, the audience wouldn't be able to immerse themselves in the show. Thirdly, they had to maintain a certain level of mystery and not oversell themselves. Hence, there were many restrictions. Xiangyi didn't have such worries. Instead, her performance was more natural and it was easier for her to attract fans. Soon, the hashtag Xiangyi's new variety show hashtag became a hot search. At first, the program team of National Sports added fuel to the fire, but later on, it became a spontaneous discussion among netizens. Some people were looking forward to it, some were criticizing it, and some were criticizing it. However, everything could be summed up in a simple word: popularity. Many veteran managers and entertainment companies in the industry keenly sensed that something was unusual. Female artists had a harder time than male artists in this industry. Generally speaking, male artists had more data, traffic, and discussions than female artists. Xiangyi. Her popularity was even greater than that of the other popular idols. People couldn't help but sigh. She was probably just short of a masterpiece. That was the moment when one would ascend to the pinnacle. Other than the variety show, there were 2 other hot searches related to Xiangyi. One was a duet with Zhang Jujio, while the other was a video that many netizens clicked on and were dumbfounded. Why is there an additional piano ensemble? Wait a minute, this little brother is too handsome. While countless people were licking the screen, they also dug out information about the piano player. Little Nocturne, whose real name was Ling Yi, was a student of a top music academy overseas. He was one of the Music District's Hall of Fame streamers signed by Xianxia app. Most people's appreciation of music was only at the level of "wow, it's so good," but Ling Ye's appearance was really too outstanding. Hence, the video quickly became popular on the internet and attracted the comments of many professional music critics. Iji Turtledove v. Tonight, Ms. Xiangyi and Ms. Zhang Jujio played together to their heart's content and was extremely shocking. I also watched the duet with Mr. Xiao Nocturne, and after thinking about it, I'm really at a loss for words. Perhaps I can only describe it in 2 words. In my lifetime. Chapter 426. In this ensemble, the violin was fully deserving of being the protagonist, while the piano was an evenly matched opponent. It was as if they had met their match. The surprising thing was that the cello not only perfectly played the role of a foil, but it was also the best accompaniment and had a strong presence that could not be ignored. Its low and heavy tone neutralized the intensity of the battle. It had the vigorous vitality of spring when all things were growing and growing, as well as the gentle prelude when the snow melted and the ice river flowed. 3 instruments, 3 people. 1 + 1 + 1 no longer equaled 3. Grey Turtledove's evaluation could be said to be quite high. He was not the only one. Even a renowned musician in China, Old Mu, had reposted the video and added 2 words to it. Old Mu v. Not bad. The netizens were shocked. If they remembered correctly, the last time Xianxia accompanied C7, this big shot had come out to play the bass. They didn't expect him to come out and support Xianxia again this time. His status in the music industry was comparable to that of a national team player. Such an existence actually appeared to support Xianxia. However, this was just the beginning. Several masters of the folk music industry such as Sanxian, Suona, and Guqin. Anyone who knew how to use Weibo or had a Weibo account all reposted, commented and liked the video. The netizens looked at the master's Weibo verification and felt a sense of suffocation. Ah, this is outrageous. Are all these big shots quietly paying attention to Xianxia? Oh my god, Xianxia is the darling of the folk music industry. No, it's not just the folk music industry but also the big shots of the classical music industry. This is the first time I've seen so many big shots of the music industry on Weibo. I suggest searching for the term #MusicLegacy#. Oh my god, senior's words really touched me. Some netizens clicked on the search engine and the page froze for a few seconds before refreshing. #USUAV. Hey, the little girl can play the cello too? Thumbs #MusicLegacy#. Raised cat calls Depang v. Tigihe. It's a pity that she doesn't play the air with such proficiency. Chinese Folk Music Association v. There is no circle in music. Whether it's folk music or classical music, it's worth passing on. #MusicLegacy #Zhou Yao v. Xianxia, do you want to consider coming to Beijing Classical Music for graduate school? Guaranteed employment. Music Legacy #Njirua. Don't fight with our Vienna orchestra, okay? Xianxia, 5 insurances and 1 gold, a cello seat. Sister E, do you want to consider it? #Music Legacy #World Classical Music Association v. Thank you to the 3 excellent performers for allowing us to enjoy this musical feast. We also hope that in the future, there will be more young people who like folk music, pop music and classical music as long as it's music. Music Legacy #. The netizens who saw this scene were all shocked. What was prestige? This was it. Who in the entertainment industry could get so many big shots and official Weibo accounts to support them? That night, more and more people remembered the name Xianxia, and remembered Xianxia's unparalleled talent in music. After the livestream ended, Xianxia took out another ruby, put it in a box and meticulously wrapped a bow around it. Xiao Naofu's fierce meowing came from the direction of the balcony. Xianxia walked over and realized that it was Xiao Naofu who was yelling at Shui, who was standing on the balcony next door. In the night, the man's figure was tall and slender, and the cool breeze gently fell on the ends of his soft hair. Chapter 427. Seeing Xianxia's figure, Xiao Naofu seemed to have found a backer and roared a few more times. Xiao Naofu, you can't be like this. Although it was a reprimand, it was very gentle. The little cat turned its face away. Humph. Xianxia curiously asked Shui, what did you do to Xiao Naofu? Why is it always so fierce to you? Shui, you teased it and said you'd take it to be sterilized? Xianxia said seriously, then don't say that in the future. Xiao Naofu is still a baby and its heart is very fragile. You can't hurt it like this. Shui readily agreed. Okay, I'll listen to Sister E. Hearing that the dog man could actually speak human language, Xiao Naofu's icy blue cat eyes widened in disbelief. Xianxia, then you promise it. The girl raised the chubby, white and soft little cat. Shui probably didn't expect that there would be a day when he would bow down to Xiao Naofu. The tip of his tongue pressed against his chin in displeasure. After a few seconds he sighed. Xiao Naofu, I won't scare you with sterilization anymore. He had to listen to Tutu's words. Xiao Naofu's tail swung twice in the air, dizzy from the sudden bliss that fell from the sky. The next second it heard Xianxia say, You're not allowed to be fierce to Shi Sui Gij anymore. Xiao Naofu, meow. I won't listen. Xiangyi patiently persuaded. If you're obedient, I'll make you a luxurious seafood set meal, the kind that can have 10 ingredients. Xiao Naofu, would this hoo bow down for a mouthful of food? Of course. It made a sweet and soft meow, in a flattering and coquettish tone. Okay, then you two shake hands and make up, okay? Hearing this, Shi Sui and Xiao Naofu's eyes revealed rejection. But Xiangyi insisted. Thus, Shi Sui had no choice but to stretch out her bony fingers. Xiao Naofu also reluctantly stretched out its chubby paw. The man and the cat shook hands across the balcony for less than a second. Then, as if they had touched something dirty, they hurriedly retracted their hands. Shi Sui was rather calm, but Xiao Naofu couldn't tolerate it at all. It jumped out of Xiangyi's arms and got ready to look for little Shiji to lick. It did not want him to lick it. A dog man's hand definitely smelled like a dog. Looking at Xiao Naofu's back, Xiangyi couldn't help but laugh. Seems to have really gained weight. Its body was round, its fur was soft, and its legs were short. It looked extremely adorable. Shi Sui replied with a soft, uh-huh. Even he who didn't like small animals actually thought that Xiao Naofu was quite cute. But because she was cute, it was more fun to bully her. Smiley face. By the way, this is for you. Xiangyi handed the box over. Shi Sui was a little surprised and raised his eyebrows. I get a gift too? Xiangyi explained seriously, children need to get gifts and so do adults. Shi Sui seemed to be stunned for a second, or maybe it was just Xiangyi's imagination. The man's peach blossom-shaped eyes were curved inward, and his eyelashes were longer than a girl's. When they drooped down, they cast a faint shadow on his cold and fair skin. Opening the box, a ruby the size of a baby's fist reflected a dazzling light. It was unbelievably beautiful. Xiangyi said, although this isn't as pure as Jiujio's, but it's big. It's shiny too. The man's lips curled into an ambiguous smile. It is quite big. Then, for some reason Xiangyi was a little nervous. Do you like it then? Chapter 428. The night was gentle and the moon was bright and the stars were sparse. There was a faint fragrance of flowers in the air. Shi Sui stared at her and curled his lips as if he was answering her question, but also as if he was confessing to her, I like it. Yes, I like everything that Xiangyi gives me. The clear eyes of the young girl in front of him curved up, as if they were filled with moonlight, quiet and beautiful. As long as you like it. Xiangyi smiled. I'll go in then. Wait a minute. Shi Sui stopped her. Xiangyi turned her head and looked at him in confusion. The man took out a velvet box from his trouser pocket and said, it's sponsored by the brand. See if you like it. Xiangyi opened it. It was a very delicate bracelet with a neutral design. There were a few diamonds on the bracelet and each of them was big. As it spun, it reflected a dazzling light. Xiangyi knew a lot about jewelry because of the gem mine her aunt had given her. She asked, will the brand sponsor such an expensive piece of jewelry? Shi Sui's expression didn't change. Xiangyi had always believed everything he said. She said, you're indeed popular. That was why the brand had sponsored such an expensive bracelet. Then is it okay for you to give it to me? Didn't the brand ask you to wear it? Xiangyi asked. Oh. Shi Sui chuckled. And I think it suits you better. Xiangyi picked it up and looked at it carefully. She liked this bracelet very much, so she didn't shy away from politeness and said graciously, thank you. Do you want me to put it on for you? Xiangyi didn't think much of it and handed her hand and the bracelet to him. The man lowered his long eyelashes and carefully fastened the bracelet for her. His slightly calloused fingers inadvertently rubbed against the girl's fair wrist bone, evoking a slight itch. Xiangyi's fingertips trembled. All right. The man's deep voice pulled her back to reality. Xiangyi retracted her hand and curled up uncomfortably. Her voice was unbelievably soft. Thank you. So this is how it feels to like someone. She was deep in thought. Shi Sui blinked and asked, in that case, good night? Xiangyi, good night. The two of them said good night to each other and Xiangyi went back to her room first. Her footsteps were light and she even skipped a few steps. Shi Sui was still on the balcony with one hand in her pocket. She didn't find the cigarette box but a lollipop. It was a candy from Tutu. His addiction to smoking was actually very strong. Enduring until now was almost his limit. However, the moment he saw the candy, his eyes were filled with lust. He slowly peeled off the candy wrapper and bit into it. The sweetness spread and stimulated the nervous system to secrete pleasurable dopamine. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. He suddenly felt that quitting smoking was not that difficult. When Xianxia returned to her room, Jiang Jujio happened to push the door open and enter. When she saw the bracelet on her wrist, she squinted. "Are you in a relationship with that dog of a man?" She sounded as if she was questioning the scumbag's infidelity. Xianxia said, "Oh." Jiang Jujio heaved a sigh of relief. That's good. I knew you wouldn't like him." Xianxia hesitated for a moment, but she still chose to be honest with her friend. "I think he might not like me." Jiang Jujio was speechless. Looking at Jiang Jujio's dumbfounded expression, Xianxia calmed down. She didn't confess because she didn't want to affect Shui during the livestream. However, liking someone wasn't something to be ashamed of. She nodded and said, "Yes, I like him." Chapter 429. Pitter-patter. Jiang Jujio froze in shock as if she had been electrocuted. Her lips quivered and she couldn't believe what she had just heard. How could my adorable and perfect Yi fall for Shui, that dog of a man? Jiang Jujio raised her hand and checked the temperature of Xiangyi's forehead before muttering to herself. Why isn't it hot at all?" Xiangyi was caught between laughter and tears. "I don't have a fever." "No, you have a fever," Jiang Jujio said firmly. "Sit here obediently, I'll go get you a thermometer to measure your temperature." She pressed Xiangyi onto the bed forcefully, and after taking a few steps out, she realized that she was being a little too concerned and added proudly, "Don't misunderstand. I'm just afraid that you'll infect me with your fever." Humph. A few minutes later, Jiang Jujio looked at the number on the thermometer. 36.8 degrees Celsius, and finally accepted the reality. E doesn't have a fever equals E is conscious equals E likes a dog of a man equals that dog of a man has snatched E away. Does he deserve it? He doesn't. Jiang Jujio asked resentfully, "What do you see in him? Isn't he just good-looking? Isn't he just successful in his career? Isn't he just—" She suddenly paused and realized that she was talking about Shui's strengths. She flew into a rage out of humiliation and said, "Yi, wake up, are you such a superficial person? You've seen all kinds of handsome men, must you be lusting after his face?" Xiangyi bit her lower lip and reflected for a few seconds before saying, "I think I am." Jiang Jujio was speechless. Xiangyi said, "He has a great figure too, he has abs." Jiang Jujio was speechless. "So you're not only lusting after his face, but you're also lusting after his body?" Jiang Jujio was so angry that she couldn't sleep well the entire night and couldn't get up in the morning either. Xiangyi covered her with the blanket and went out for a morning exercise. When she returned, she watered the plants and sprayed some activator. Sister E. Fu Jian was like a monkey. His hair was uncombed and his face was unwashed. He rushed out and held his phone excitedly. "I'm famous." After one night, in addition to the trio's ensemble that attracted a lot of attention, there was also something that people in the circle didn't expect. Fu Jian was on fire. The fire could be said to have caught them off guard, but if one were to examine it carefully, it would be logical. His popularity was already there, and he was also an A-list male star. It was just that he hadn't had any good works in a long time, so he had been relying on the image of the crown prince. He didn't expect that yesterday's interaction with Xiangyi would be trending, and his popularity would suddenly rise. His agent received a huge stack of scripts, and he received invitations from crosstalk masters, comedians, and Saturday talk shows. He was so excited that he spoke incoherently. Fortunately, Xiangyi was patient enough. After listening to him, she said with a smile, "Congratulations, you've gotten what you wanted. Do you have any variety shows that you want to go on?" Fu Jian clenched his fists and said with a serious expression, "Actually, I really want to go, but I think Jiang Jujio is right. If I act in one show, people will like me because of one role. If I act in 10 shows, they might like me because of 10 roles. As an actor, I have to act well and perform well. That's the only way I can truly be responsible to my fans." When a young man was confident, he would look confident and dazzling even if he was unkempt. However, he only looked suave for 3 seconds before he smiled foolishly and said, "Sister E, let's hug for the sake of our half-siblings." Behind him, a dangerous gaze was fixed on him. P.S. The freshmen have been busy reporting for the entire day. Because my roommates all go to bed early, I might have to write a lousy update today in order not to affect others. If I can find a way to write it, I'll update it. You can read it tomorrow, but it might not happen. Anyway, you don't have to wait for today. Good night. Chapter 430. Fu Jian didn't notice anything and simply stretched out his arms to give Xianxia a bear hug. Xianxia remained calm and took a step back to avoid Fu Jian's touch. You don't have to hug me. Fu Jian scratched his head and said, I'm not that ugly. Due to the angle, Xianxia didn't see the slender figure at the door. She said seriously, it's not because of you. I have someone I like. Huh? Fu Jian was shocked. Sister Yi actually has someone she likes? Who could it be? Before he came, he didn't know much about two under one roof. He was usually busy with his schedule and rarely surfed the internet. He didn't even know what untimely internet was. Simply put, he didn't even have a 2G internet connection. He wasn't even connected to the internet. Hearing the girl's calm and gentle voice, Zhou Xian tapped her fingertips against the wall, but the rhythm of her tapping was very chaotic. She has someone she likes. Could it be him? Or someone else? Zhou Xian realized that she was actually a little nervous. Until, Sister Yi, I'm here to pick you up. Her manager, Anan's brisk and enthusiastic voice came from the direction of the gate. He was carrying a large school bag, dressed in a short-sleeved shirt and jeans, looking like a fresh college student. Sichuan Bai, who was dressed in a suit and exuded an elite aura, was standing beside him. The two of them were about 10 centimeters apart in height and their clothing styles were very different. Surprisingly, they didn't look out of place when standing together. Anan. Xianxia smiled and asked, have you had breakfast? Anan said honestly, not yet. My car broke down and Mr. C sent me here. Sichuan Bai, who was beside him, suddenly covered his mouth with his hand and coughed twice. Anan immediately understood. Mr. C hasn't eaten either. Xianxia said, come in then, I've cooked fish balls and rice noodles. Sichuan Bai smiled and said, sorry to trouble you, Miss Yang. The fish balls were made by Xianxia early in the morning. She chopped fresh fish and mixed it with sweet potato powder. Then she used the fish as the skin and wrapped it with various fillings. The fish balls were white and shiny with thin skin and lots of fillings. The rice noodles cooked in the casserole were refreshing and smooth. After putting them into the bone broth, a spoonful of fish balls was poured over, chopped green onions, chili oil, soy sauce and other simple seasonings. The piping hot fish ball rice noodles was served in front of him. Gulp. Anan swallowed his saliva and suppressed his appetite. He pushed the bowl in front of Sichuan Bai. Mr. C, please eat first. Sichuan Bai adjusted his glasses and passed the rice noodles over expressionlessly. I'm not hungry yet. Anan's eyes lit up. Then I'll eat first? Up to you. Oh yeah. Anan cheered in his heart as he picked up his chopsticks and started eating. The rice noodles were slightly chewy, the broth was mellow and warm, and the fish balls were the best. He ate pork fillings, shrimp fillings, mushroom fillings, tofu fillings. Every one of them was delicious. Anan was so hot that he couldn't stop breathing. Phew. Oh. Sichuan Bai said, slow down, no one's going to fight with you. Wow, this is delicious. This is delicious too. When it was Sichuan Bai's turn, he used all his self-control but still couldn't restrain himself from eating. On the other hand, Fu Jian was also eating without the burden of being an A-list actor. Anan was the first to finish a bowl and made a heart to Xianxia. Sister, I love you. Xianxia smiled and made a gesture of catching her heart. Although she hadn't known Anan for long, she felt that the two of them were like best friends. Little did she know that Fu Jian, who saw this scene, suddenly looked horrified. Chapter 431. Is the person Sister E likes her manager? Fu Jian's chopsticks paused in midair and he paced back and forth between Anan and Xianxia. Sister E smiled at Anan. Sister E cooked another bowl of rice noodles for Anan. Sister E scooped a large spoonful of fish balls for Anan. The more he looked at it, the more suspicious it seemed. Fu Jian made a logical conclusion in his mind. Sister E treats Anan well, which means that Sister E likes Anan. However, in the next moment, the corners of Sichuan Bai's mouth were stained with soup. Anan actually took out a piece of tissue and wiped the corners of his mouth. He said in a concerned tone, Mr. C, be careful when you eat, don't drip on your clothes. After all, his suit was so expensive that it could only be dry cleaned. It was very expensive. Si Chuanbai's body stiffened. Thank you. Fu Jian was speechless. Young man, why are you so gay? Sister E likes me and I like someone else. Isn't this a love triangle? Fu Jian, who had imagined a huge drama, was so heartbroken that he couldn't breathe. He felt that it was unfair for Sister E. Sister E deserves better. Fu Jian was upset, but he had nowhere to vent. Jiang Jujie was still asleep and Si Chuanbai was the person involved in the love triangle. After thinking about it, he felt that Senior Shi was the only reliable person to listen to him. Unlike Anan and the others who were wolfing down their food, Shi Sui ate slowly. However, he would finish everything that Xiangyi cooked. A man with messy hair suddenly popped up from the side and said sneakily and mysteriously, Senior Shi, do you know who Sister E likes? Shi Sui asked. Huh? Anan. It's Anan. Fu Jian said in a surprised tone as if he had discovered a new continent. Ah, why did she fall for Anan? Fu Jian said in a distressed tone. She looks like I can do it too. Actually, I quite like her. Shi Sui raised her eyebrows. Really? Fu Jian chuckled. Of course. Sister E is so cute. Other than Senior, who wouldn't love her? He had a clear memory of Shi Sui's misogyny. Back then there was a female extra in the cast who tried to force a kiss on him. She had merely touched his arm and Shi Sui had vomited. He even vomited a lot. Later on, Fu Jian heard the director vaguely mention that Shi Sui's illness was not physical but psychological. There was a hurdle in his heart that he couldn't get over. He had to walk out on his own or someone had to pull him out. Otherwise, he would have resisted any intimate actions with women his entire life. How great would it be if Sister E likes me? Fu Jian was lost in his fantasy. I'll definitely give her all my pay. It wouldn't be fast to get married in a year, would it? As for children, it'd be best if it's a boy and a girl. 2 daughters would be fine, but what about 2 sons? Twirling. Shi Sui elegantly bit into a fishball, causing the gravy to splatter everywhere. The aroma made him squint slightly. You're right. Fu Jian thought he was referring to the children. Hey Senior, you don't like sons either? Right. Younger daughters are better. Shi Sui suddenly said, I'm also human. Fu Jian laughed. Senior, your joke is really cold. Ah, if you're not human, then what are you? Shi Sui was calm and composed. Fu Jian's laughter stopped abruptly. Who wouldn't love a human? I'm also human. His gaze was even more horrified. It was the kind of panic that one would feel when they suddenly connected from a 2G network to a 5G network.